Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 50, a special number indeed, of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. I'm joined by the Sega kid himself, Lord Cognito.
Sega in the building. What's going on? Doing good, Matty, man. I'm trying new things right now. I was talking to you before, trying a new workout routine. My schedule's changing, so I don't want to lose my flow. So I'm like, all right, let me try a little lunchtime workout, try different things, mixing it up, keeping the health as well going, and try to be adaptable. But what about you?
It's funny you bring this up, actually, because I remember now when we're talking about it here, I went on a brisk walk yesterday.
Okay,
before some nice video work, and you sit for a lot during this job, so I realized a difference in the energy level when you got some fresh air, some sun on you, and then you went to work. Usually I save it for afterwards, which makes the winter time not that great, because it's come like 4:30, it's pitch black outside, and you're like, okay, well, my day's shot, so I'm not going to exercise at all. So figured that out. A little bit late to the party on that, but I'm with you. Afternoon grind, it's happening.
Yeah, man, I like it. I like my energy level with it. I think I may have found a little pocket with it. So, then I got my little sport, my watch, my little fitness watch. Remind me, you haven't been active. Get up and do something. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of liking this flow. Yeah, it guilts me into doing stuff. What's going on?
Anyway, we could certainly use anyone's support over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. If you're looking to get early access to our show, we've recorded a ton of holiday content for you while we're away. This is our last episode. We're actually recording in real time. Everything you're going to hear for the rest of the year, alongside Sacred Symbols and Defining Duke, will be pre-recorded. So we got a lot of cool stuff planned for you. But if you want early access to any of that stuff, again, patreon.com/laststandmedia. Or you can listen for free on Sunday on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. We're just happy to have you around, but certainly not going to argue the extra support. And you get access to Duke Ultimate, where we just recorded a phenomenal episode. It was myself, it was Colin, and we sat down to talk about BioWare.
Woo.
So we all know Colin, he took a good run at Dragon Age Origins, and a lot of people wanted me to set the man straight, but saw a good opportunity there to, let's have a conversation constructively about BioWare. Of course, I asked him about how he felt about Dragon Age Inquisition. And to learn more, I recommend you give that episode a listen. It's a very insightful one because everyone knows I am an old school BioWare fan. Colin is not as infatuated with them. So there's a pretty cool dynamic on display there. And we get into the nitty gritty. So please check that out if you have yet to.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta check it out, man. I saw it. I was like,
I think you'll like
it. This is gonna be a bang. I already know, man. Yeah. I was like, damn, I gotta get a part of the next one.
I know. Yeah, when BioWare does something stupid again, have you?
Here we
go. Before we begin, and then we'll get into our patron write-ins. This is the week of game companies selling you really stupid shit. Microsoft got involved. They're selling $25 premium posters, is what they're calling them, commemorating the roughly $1.5 billion mistake known as the Red Ring of Death. They're selling, as our good friend Legacy Killer HD said, they're selling literal trauma. So if anyone wants a Red Ring of Death poster, Xbox is selling them. And they're really running away with the idea like, hey, remember that? That's a thing of the past. Pretty bold move. Thoughts?
Yeah, salute to them. I mean, again, watching the documentary Power On, they are embracing stuff, and we'll get into it with a lot of questions. But this is bold, and it's a level of transparency, because I remember the Red Ring vividly. I think we all,
dude. I was terrified. I had a fan set up next to my Xbox, blowing into the side of it at all times. I was doing every technique in the book to preserve my Xbox. Little I know that this was after they did the screw change, so it was kind of a thing in the past, but I was still like terrified of it. I didn't know what was going to happen, so I was always keeping a fan on my Xbox to keep the air circulation. So
that was a thing. That was an era of like going to GameStop, and remember they were like third-party manufacturing cooling attachments and devices. Nobody knew what was going on. That was an era, boy. Woo.
We also have a follow-up from Ladies, who writes in, "Hey Dukes, I just wanted to add some context to the 18-month contractor rule that exists at Microsoft. For those who don't know, this is in reference to our talk about some of the development over at 343, where they had contractors in and out of the development process. The main idea of it is that in the early 2000s, Microsoft and other tech companies used to abuse contractor laws and perm temps, meaning they could hire full-time employees as contractors and avoid having to provide benefits that an actual employee at Microsoft would entail. This drew the ire of the United States government, which would eventually go after Microsoft for their abusive practices. Even though the government did not mandate the 18-6 rule, 18 months of contract work must be followed by 6 months of break time, or the contractor must be made a full-time employee by Microsoft. Microsoft implemented that themselves to avoid being sued. Hopefully, this provides some clarity. So just a little, I think, need to know on that, because we were all confused what was exactly happening with 343. I had my doc up. I don't even know where Cog went. Did something? What the hell? Anyway, the next write-in's for him. That's funny. I don't even know. I had the doc up on a separate screen, and I come back, and the chair's empty. Oh, he said, "Bell, be right back." Okay. Never mind. Anyway, I just thought that this was something that was a important need to know on what was happening at 343, because we're talking about a company that was going through a little bit of seemingly development hell, a lot of different factions set up within the studio, and so now we know what was happening with the contractors going in and out of the building. Cog, this next one is for you.
Yeah, actually, this was very informative. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
shout out to FedEx. This is actually very informative, because I had initially wondered what that was about, and as far as 343 was concerned, but you come to find out that this was an overarching Microsoft issue, and something that really wanted to prevent contractors from being abused, things like that. So this is actually really cool. So salute the ladies for bringing this up, because I didn't know that, and it makes sense, because at the end of the day, people want to be full time. They want benefits. They want, all the bells and whistles that would come with being an employee. So, yeah, thank you for actually bringing this to our attention.
Absolutely. I don't know if you heard, because I know your headphones are
No,
wireless.
I heard everything.
You heard me like, wait, where did you go?
Because I wrote it. I'm like, I hope he saw it.
No, yeah, I had the doc up, and then I switched over, and I just see, like, I was passing it up, and you were just gone. I didn't hear you say anything. I was like,
podcast over.
Yeah. I was planning to move to the next one real quick, because this one's all for you. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, your boy Nikki V writes in, "Yo, dudes, as a proud pioneer of Matty's Titty Gobbler title, I thought I'd follow up with last week's request for a nickname for Cog. Here are some suggestions here. The head shaking begins. Penis Pincher, Testicle Tickler, Mr. Cocktagious,
wow,
Nipple Gnar, Scrotum Surveyor." I think this one's not bad.
Why gotta survey the scrotum?
Ass Gripper, Chair Sniffer. Says, pick your poison, have a pervy compliment from Bobby Kotick kind of day, Nick.
Yo, Nick, you out of pocket. You are wild out of pocket. The answer is none of the above.
None of the above, right? That's what he said. Like Titty Gobbler, Matty, and none of the above, Cog.
The names, the creativity, the surveyors, the grippers.
Can we call it creativity, though? Is it truly creativity? Because as someone with an immature sense of humor that had to include this in the show, I was like, I was giggling as I'm copying and pasting it into the doc. I'm just like, is this really creative, or is this just raunchy enough to get my attention?
Listen, there's a couple we going straight to HR for that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, it's time to get into what we're playing, what games we're playing. Cog, I want to start off with you. You got an interesting trifecta here of titles.
Yeah, it's pretty much nothing really has changed too much. It's been a busy kind of week. But I'm still trying to get back into the Destiny 2, what's going on. I actually like their holiday event. It's called the Dawning. And right now it's real festive in the tower. The snowballs. You grab your little snowball. You can throw them at people. There's snowballs everywhere and strikes and stuff. And it's actually an offensive weapon and stuff. And you can they actually have fun with it. But the Dawning is really cool. They have really cool. It's like their Christmas into New Year's seasonal event. And to be honest, it's my favorite event. It's very festive. It's like, it's Christmassy. And so I like that. And then, of course, they're going to have a little monetization with it, of course, if you want. But in the fairness, you can earn the suits through gameplay and stuff like that. So you got that. Halo Infinite, obviously, we know what's going on, campaign, all that good stuff, multiplayer playlists we were getting into.
Yeah, I fired that up. It was nice to see.
And Phoenix Point is back in the mix. Phoenix Point is back. Yeah, because actually two things. One, It is now Series X and S enhanced 4K update. So you're getting the bells and whistles. And I know Matty's not a fan of Quick Resume, but Cog is a huge fan of Quick Resume. Yeah, listen to your damn video. You know,
I was
I
going to say,
caught you.
wow,
I
someone's
caught
paying
you.
attention.
Oh, I pay attention to you.
Yeah.
I'm all over whatever the beast is doing. I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, your video popped up, and I saw that. But teachers, Attic is the same like you. He's like, it doesn't
Just
really.
don't use it. Like I just out of habit, I close it down because I don't want my game clocks to run up. I'm just like, I'm scared. I don't want it to happen. I don't trust the suspension.
I respected your answer though, because otherwise that internal clock keeps going, and you're like, no, I want it to be accurate, reflect that.
Inherently OCD, I think, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm okay. I can. These systems are so fast that I remember we had to wait a while for the game to start up.
Mm-hmm.
The splash screens had to go through. So it's quietly loading the game up. It's like everything fires up so fast. I can just wait. It's all right.
And that's the problem with Phoenix Point pre. Bro, you gotta start up. It's a big splash screen. It's a cinema. It doesn't even allow you to skip really fast. And it's like I just want to go right back to the tactical map and plan my turn base where I was at. So that game screamed for it. You know what game? Real quick, side note. What game screams for it too, as much as I love it, is Disco Elysium. Oh my Lord. Yeah, it is not next gen enhanced. It does not use the to me, it doesn't feel like it even used the NVMe. And yeah, it loads pretty bad for a game that doesn't really have
it doesn't demand much
going on. Yeah. So those are it for me right now. It's holiday thing. But what about you? What's going on with the Matty selection?
Yeah, so couple games. One I'll talk about later. You can guess which section. Aliens Fireteam Elite. Really excited to get into that one. I've recently fired back up Kingdoms of Amalur as well. Re-Reckoning. I haven't played this since the remaster dropped last year, and there was this expectation in the beginning of 2021 that we would get this new expansion for Kingdoms of Amalur. They announced that. It's called Fatesworn. And I was thinking, it's crazy. Like, what an amazing story for this game. Really fascinating might be the better word, because it's not really a happy story, right? With what happened with Kurt Schilling.
I was about to say, this is the Kurt Schilling game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember listening to that whole... That was a crazy development site.
That was where Big 38, I think they're called, shut down. The license was in limbo. EA seemingly had a hand in it because when, I don't think anyone's ever reported this, but when THQ Nordic went to put it on Steam for the upgrade, let's say you already own Kingdoms of Amalur on PC like I did, you couldn't get the free upgrade. EA wanted you to pay for it. So you had to pay $20 to upgrade, which was half the price of the game. So yeah, EA was involved in that in some way, shape, or form. So there was a lot of hands in the cookie jar to get Kingdoms of Amalur rolling. Wow. And now they're doing an expansion. And I talked to some of the friends at THQ Nordic, and I was like, yo, what level do I got to be for this? They're like level 30. So I've been back in that. The expansion's out now. My save file got corrupted. So unfortunately, I was like, I had to go back to them and be like, hey, do you guys got any like review builds, save builds prepared for press? Because I can do this, but I said my time is like really crunched already. So if you have anything for me, that'd be great. And they fortunately did. So,
nice.
But I've been back on this. It's a great action RPG. If you've never played it before, it's really good. I think the remaster was underwhelming if you're a returning fan, but I've been back in that, and just a wonderful soundtrack, which they got the original composer for the first game, or the main game, I should say, back for the expansion, which was cool. The expansion is like new weapons, quests, locations, enemies, all that stuff. And to me, it's just, we're talking about a game that came out in 2012 on the 360. It comes back through a remaster, and they expand on that remaster and add more content to the game. I'm really excited, actually, to finally see what that is. And I'll have a video on my channel about that. But been back in that. If anyone's looking for a good fantasy RPG, beat 'em up, this is it. Really, really enjoyable one. I checked Game Pass because I could have sworn it was on there, but it's not. But it is on sale everywhere. It's a really cheap game to get.
Yeah, man, that's actually a lot of history behind that game. Check it out, see what's going on.
Absolutely. So, talk more, like I said, about Aliens later. I don't have much else to say on what I'm playing. I beat SMT5, so shout out to that game. We'll definitely be hitting that one up soon in our Game of the Year conversation. We'll see where it falls. But with that, let's get into our warm-up question, shall we, Cog?
Let's do it.
First one's a faux pas on my behalf. I take full accountability for this because I used the same list for my video, and I made the same mistake there, I'm pretty sure. Juan Paulina writes in, Hey, Dukes, I love the show and enjoyed the last episode quite a bit. I was a little bit surprised that you guys forgot to talk about Alan Wake 2, so I thought I'd write in for a friendly reminder. Personally, it was the highlight of the show for me, especially after hearing Sam Lake say it's going to focus more on survival horror rather than action. Audible gasp moment. Congrats to Cog on the new job. You deserve it, King. Love what you both do. Thank you, Juan.
Thank you, Juan. Yeah, actually, yeah, man, you can't take all the blame. I forgot to. Like, there was so much going on, and we loved the Hellblade news. We loved everything. We completely forgot about
I don't know
Alan
how I
Wake.
did this, right? This is a game with 360 heritage, man. I
Bro,
ignored one of the kings, the early kings. How could I
it,
do that? I don't know,
it
but here we are.
happens. I think I'll be honest, I think we were so mad at the structure of the show and certain things that we just went into our bag and our tangents with that.
It's also just hard to remember some of the games because the way it's all rolled out.
It was so much information. So, but we definitely Alan Wake, yeah, that was huge. To hear Sam Lake come out, talk all that stuff, that was really cool. And it's so cool. I want to shout out Rand Thor. He's such a huge fan of this. And it was like
he wasn't the one who wrote in, that's what I was thinking.
He can't now. Technically, now he's a last name member. But so we'll get into that. He lost the bet to me. But yeah, man. Look, at the end of the day, like, this is really cool to see fans of this series. They thought they would never get this, and then we got the link a little bit with Control and the universes and stuff. So this is cool. What about you? How excited were you for this?
I wasn't as surprised, and I'm not even like a big Remedy fan. I'm a big Quantum Break stan, I'll say that. But not like it's their best work at all. But like, I just think it's a really fun, unique game. But yeah, I wasn't too caught off guard by Alan Wake 2 because I thought a lot of the writing was on the wall. I mean, of course, the Control connections were pretty telling. But really, to me, it was the way they were speaking about this project with Epic that they were working on. Like, oh, it's a AAA RPG, like returning to a series, yada yada. Like a lot of hints just suggesting like this is Alan Wake. Like we're not like we're gonna do Control 2, we're gonna do Alan Wake 2. I think that path is obvious for them because here's the thing: Control sold terribly at first, but that game had legs thanks to word of mouth, and it's really made its ways around the industry. So kudos to Remedy for sticking with it. But yeah, I think they realize. I think a lot of companies realize, thanks to Resident Evil, everyone can shake Capcom's hand. When they brought back Resident Evil and did it right, that there's still a lot of love for survival horror out there. And so I know that Alan Wake 1 leans more to the action side of things, but I thought with the whole flashlight mechanic and everything, it did feel very survival horror. Some people were like, oh, I don't know if I like this. I felt that was at its roots anyway to try to be creepy. So I like the idea of it really dedicating to one side instead of straddling the line. I'm not sure where you're at on the gameplay changes that they're making here for the sequel.
No, I mean, I like it. I don't have an issue. I mean, this to me comes down to a purist perspective, like how when I hear that change, I was like, I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind the survival horror, but if I could understand if someone was like, yo, I'm concerned that, now there's not going to be a lot of action or whatever. I could understand that. For me, I like survival horror, so it didn't really bother me. Well, what do you hear the consensus is for the hardcore Alan, Wake guys?
I think it's more so a worry of like the tension came through like some big set pieces. If you think about, I think of the barn area as one where you're kind of like running through the level and there's like a locomotion to it all. Right. I think that's the fear is like that will be lost. I think of something like Resident Evil as a series again, where they do a good balance when they hit those games right, like Resident Evil 2 remake, like Resident Evil 4, where it's like there's tension, there's creeps, and there's also a little bit of action. So I think Remedy's competent enough to do this right. I really liked. Normally, I don't buy into the developer commentary too hardcore, but I really thought what Sam Lake said resonated with me when he was on the stage at the Game Awards, like. We're committing to this. The team is ready for this now. Like, we didn't want to just do this right away. I think you got a feeling of that as they went off the path. They experimented with Quantum Break. They did Control. And it's like they're coming home now. And it feels like now they know they have the idea for this game. They have the vision for it. They have the talent for it. The way he said it, I think Sam Lake's such a creative and interesting person that it was like, yeah, he seems to be the guy who would understand when a team's ready. And when he says it, I can buy into that. So to me, that was like a convincing affirmation that whatever they're doing, I have confidence in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also the fact that you need it to be a differentiator from a Control, which has a lot of, even Quantum Break had a lot of action-y.
It's a good point. Really good point.
So if it then it becomes all carbon copy assembly line kind of things, and we
Very
don't
good
want
point.
the
Yeah.
Ubisoft thing. So I'm cool with it. Like let it try this thing, man. And I like atmospheric storytelling as long as it's done well.
Yeah. All I'm going to say, Remedy, if anyone there is listening, ditch 505 as a publisher. Ditch 505. They're fucking you guys over big time because look, I remember Control at the Ultimate Edition. Like they were the ones who broke open the floodgates of like making you pay for the upgrades and stuff, and it just was not pretty. And the Control was already struggling, and yeah, they made a messy game already more messy by doing it to the wrong product. I just get rid of 505. They're not a good company. They're not.
He wouldn't either. Damn, Manny. Damn. Damn.
They're not. All right. Let's talk with Cal Vasco.
Let's go.
Hey Dukes, I'm curious how both of you are feeling about fighting games on Xbox platforms going forward. Melty Blood type Lumina just released on the platform, and the upcoming King of Fighters 15, as well as even Phantom Breaker Omnia, are coming to the platform. But titles such as Persona 4 Arena Ultimax with the 2.5 balance patch and the last few BlazBlue entries, Guilty Gear Strive, and even the latest Virtua Fighter game are skipping Xbox. Do you think it's possible for a fighting game renaissance to happen on the Series X? Would Street Fighter 6 or even a new Killer Instinct game make it to Xbox this gen? I hope both of you keep up the great work. Thank you, Cal. So, Cog, you can see in the doc, I put a little bit of a note here because I was thinking when I read this, and I put out a tweet kind of as a joke, like I just randomly got upset that Persona games aren't Xbox, right? I was just kind of teasing a little bit.
I loved it.
And I saw some people responding going, well, Xbox sees that their fans mostly don't play JRPGs, so they're not going to put them on the platform. I was thinking about other platform holders, and I was like, PlayStation clearly has a lacking of first-person shooters. So do they neglect third-party FPS because they can't personally address it with things like exclusives? It's like, no. They're still going to bring Call of Duty. I know it's a bad example, but they're still going to bring major, I think, Singularity on PS3. They're still going to bring those to their platform. I don't know why Xbox has this thing which seemingly on the optics front is people aren't playing this in mass, they aren't buying it in mass, so we're not going to support it. Like we talked about with JRPGs, fighting, at least to me on a controller part, makes more sense because their controllers aren't good for fighting. But when I saw this, I was like, why does Xbox behave this way when I'm not seeing any other major platform holder do so?
This is a good question. And I understand. I think there's a lot of layers to it. The first part of what you wrote internally on the notes, I do agree with on some level in the sense that, like, we talked about Sony and we talked about their, let's say, lack of minimal FPS offerings from themselves, mostly relying on the Call of Duties, mostly relying on the third-party stuff to kind of satiate that need, right? And then we talk about Xbox. We look at the JRPG situation. We look at fighting games. And you see them kind of going out in third party. To Xbox's credit, they are improving. They are trying to. This generation of Xbox is the most diverse I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
To be honest, they've been historically the shooter box, historically the online co-op situation. You know, they haven't really had those. I mean, Killer Instinct was one, but they really had. Then even that, they didn't even come with a follow up. They don't currently have a studio in mind to continue the legacy of Killer Instinct. That's that's a bad look. So they've got to get all this stuff sorted. That's why I'm like WB, and I heard they're trying. So we'll see. But they need to fulfill that. I think this generation is different. I think, Matty, we are gonna get it. It just comes down to one. They realize ownership. You can't keep relying on someone else to make it for you. Yeah. Because if that thing ends up being the thing, you miss out on a moment. And I gotta reference the Power On doc. Like this doc, you gotta watch it, bro. You got to. It is amazing.
I've seen parts of it. It's really good.
It is amazing. Like I didn't even know Xbox had the OG had the rights to have Grand Theft Auto when they pitched it as a 3D game.
They turned it
I
down.
didn't even know. And they were like, we don't see that translating. We don't. Again, these are the things you miss out on. And then at that time, it still wouldn't matter. But at that time, ownership, right? So now what I like that they're doing is, again, getting the studios, getting these diverse kind of, okay, you're going to do this style of game. You're going to do you're letting them create. And now it's under Xbox Game Studios. And I think we get it. to your point with the JRPGs, I'm still hoping on a certain company. And I think we're going to get it. I think with the fighting, with Virtual Fighter specifically, that a lot of this stuff is pre-deal. So they've already
That's
had
a Sega game, by the way. Keep going, but
yeah,
a Sega published game.
Yeah, a lot of my assumption. I'm just assuming. My assumption is a lot of this stuff is contractually pre-deal, so pre this new working relationship. They got to honor all the stuff. Think about it like how Deathloop before and Ghostwire Tokyo before Bethesda, right? They got to wait that year, right? Because at the end of the day, contractually, Sony ponied up, and I think that's what it is. Because it doesn't make any sense for these things to miss the platform. That's how I look at it. It has to be something thwarting them from going on right now, and I think we just got to wait for that to play out. But this is a great question.
And I think what you mentioned with GTA is a good signal of sometimes the obvious choice for us as consumers is not the obvious choice for these companies. They see a lot more data and they think they have made the most educated decision possible when they decide not to accept a deal, not bring a game to the platform, or vice versa, bring stuff to their platform. So I think it's definitely good insight on that. It admittedly just is extremely frustrating because I could go on about Persona. I mean, we're talking about a port. We're talking about a port at this point, and unless they plan on doing a massive Persona Xbox drop, which I could see being equally effective, and you will hear me screeching about it, I am certain. But again, it's one of those things where we look beyond what Cal has mentioned with, say, Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear Strive, easily the best fighting game there, easily like a looker. Incredible animation. I mean, if anyone out there is a Dragon Ball FighterZ fan like I am, check out Guilty Gear Strive. It's incredible. The latest Virtua Fighter. It's a great point that they're the two parts that I think Xbox neglects the most. And it's funny because I think Xbox with Killer Instinct, their reboot of that, had one of the best fighting games on the market. They really did. Like, I love that game. That was my most played game on the Xbox One. Like, I thought that game was really, 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 really good. I really always came back to it because I loved it. So it's not like they do bad fighting games. It's just like, okay, I'm seeing a trend of if we can't address this on an exclusive or first party capacity, we're kind of going to let it fly. We're not going to really chase it down. And again, they may have more numbers. There may be deals behind the scenes, but I do find it a little frustrating. To answer Cal's direct question, which was, do we see a fighting game renaissance happening? In my opinion, you don't, because PlayStation's only locked it down more by like getting Evo and as we've seen, all the games that are coming to their platform, like they're the fighting game platform.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And Xbox is just seemingly going, yep, you are. You are.
I mean, to your point, in your defense, they don't seem to be challenging that with the fighting games. And I've been on my high horse. You know how much I love fighting games. Like I'm not feeling that. And this is where it comes down to when people were getting mad at me with the Just One, hashtag Just One even goes outside of the box of that cinematic thing. It comes down to fighting games, right? We talked about all these different type of games that and these genres that for whatever reason, like why is it missing the platform? So one would hope that they understand they can't have that happen. They're doing everything else well, genre-wise, except the two that we're talking about, which is the JRPGs and the fight. They got to do better.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that a major platform holder can continue to neglect parts of a market. It doesn't make sense. Like your Xbox, you should have everything.
True.
Your Xbox. I will say PlayStation just expected that.
I agree. The only thing I will say, too, is we do have to be honest about Japanese relationships. We got to be honest, right? And this is an American company, and there's history there, right? There's these long working relationships that go on, and they're gonna have to. I hate to use the word pony up more on this thing if they want to be a player. They have to because you have too many holes and chinks in your armor. You got to step that up.
Absolutely, good points all around. Defining Duke is brought to you by Credit Karma. Do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to handling personal finances? Well, just know you're not the only one, okay? And Credit Karma, it's here to give you a big pat on the back and let you know you can make these big calls with confidence. If you're wanting to make a big change or something along those lines, like paying off your old credit card bills, all the way to buying the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Master Edition over on Limited Run, Credit Karma can help you find a loan that works for you. On Credit Karma, you can check out multiple loan offers side by side. Members who compare loan offers on Credit Karma save an average of 30% on interest rates. Now, for me, finding the loan I needed to pay off my KOTOR Master Edition was tough, but with Credit Karma, They made it so incredibly easy that I could just spend away. Are you ready to apply? Head to creditkarma.com/loan offers to see personalized offers with your approval odds right now. Go to creditkarma.com/loan offers to find the loan for you. That's creditkarma.com/loan offers. Let's talk to Raymond Stewart next. Hey, DD. Thanks for the continued great content. I really enjoyed the discussion about Xbox cosmetics versus the traditional $60 purchase price. To back up Cog's points last week, there's a lot more money in chasing whales versus the traditional hardcore gamer. According to gamesindustry.biz, their article way back in January of this year, 2021, 78% of all gaming revenue for 2020 was from free-to-play games. That was $98.4 billion versus $28.8 billion for traditional gaming. With Ubisoft planning to pump out 1 trillion free-to-play games, GTA Online, Red Dead Online, Halo Infinite multiplayer, Apex Legends, Destiny, Fortnite, and other countless ones on the market, should we, as traditional gamers, be concerned long-term that we are no longer the targeted audience for game devs? For once, may you have a beyond amazing December. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you. That's true. I like Raymond.
Yeah.
This is great. This is great. I think he is on the money. And
Literally.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even catch that, right?
Yeah.
Bro, like, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is the sad reality of being a hardcore gamer, because sometimes we do live in our bubble, and sometimes I'm guilty of it, where I don't like Fortnite like that. I'm not really the Call of Duty guy like that anymore. You know, I don't like what a lot of the masses play a lot of times. You know, when you look at Xbox Live most play games, and I'm not a Roblox guy. I'm not any of that. So it goes to show you the generational shift, and they have the analytics, they have the data, and this free to play stuff. As much as we hate it, these kids are eating it up. They're going through this stuff. This is what they do. They live in these worlds, and they're paying for the cosmetics, and they're paying for the. That's just what it is. Fortnite to me proved it. I to this day, when I looked at Fortnite initially, and I looked at PUBG, in my opinion, as rough as PUBG was the better game. But that's not what the market said. The market said Fortnite dances, and then you see what happened. It was a tidal wave at that point. So I think it is a shift. I think there has to be a balance, though, because what happens is if you now cater all to that, I think the responsibility of the hardcore is to let the casual know what's going on. Because a lot of times the casual come like, hey, I'm about to get a game system. What? And then us hardcore will put people on the gems, and they're like, oh, wow, I would have never known about these Bethesda games if it wasn't for Matty. I would have never. So it's twofold. They still have to not lean all the way on the seesaw completely just for the bag and eliminate that hardcore. Because if you piss off the hardcore enough, that we've seen that to his detriment as well, too.
Yeah. Damage will be done, right? You look at something like Reddit with, I'd say, Battlefront 2. I think it's a really, really good example of how the hardcore shouldn't be ignored, because to me, it boils down to a couple of points. One is, I don't want to sit here and get on my soapbox, but I just think of greed, right? I think of greed. It's like we're talking about $28 billion versus $98 billion, or 93, I think it was, right? And it's a lot of money either way is how I look at it. And I know not everyone views it that way. And I know companies have obligations to shareholders to make more and more money. So I understand there is that very real business sense there. But to me, it's like the idea that if you can make single player games and make $28 billion as an industry, I think you're in a really good spot. I don't think that's something you really got to argue with. Yes, there is more money to be made, but it leads me to my next point. I think AAA gaming is going to lose its creativity, and it's going to be a really different landscape in years to come. I genuinely think you're going to have to look to indies, AA, independent. That's where you're going to find the games you're looking for moving forward. That, or I think, and I'm not saying that PlayStation won't, but I think Xbox has kind of started to create a culture of like, make what you want, we'll fund you. I think they learned a lot from Lionhead, from Scalebound, where those were pretty catastrophic mistakes of theirs that they now have in the new generation applied to. We've seen how Wasteland's been better, Psychonauts has been better, Forza's been better, Halo's been better. So I trust moving in the next generation, they're going to allow these companies just to make the best possible game they can instead of telling them what to make. But I do think on a AAA level, we're going to see a lot of change. And the reason I do specifically call out Microsoft is they've gone ahead and announced stuff that's on the way, right? Fable, We're talking about Starfield, Contraband, the list goes on, Avowed. Like we have Hellblade 2 in the chamber. So that's the reason why I specifically mentioned them. And we'll learn more about PlayStation 2 with the likes of God of War, Horizon, and much more beyond that. But I just think overall AAA gaming is kind of going downhill. We just saw, we'll talk about them shortly. We saw Ubisoft kick down the doors with NFTs. We're seeing that these companies, look, no company gives a shit about you, but less companies, or more companies rather, are showing that they don't care to hide it anymore. And I think in those decisions, you can learn about where they view that the money's at. So they think this big Ponzi scheme is their next gold rush. And so they're going to go for it and they don't fucking care about you. So the way I look at it is like, yeah, there is absolutely hands down more money in free to play games. But I think if you don't have the hardcore games, gaming itself ceases to exist because you don't have that. Like, for example, me, I'm looking for my home-based game, right? Like I'm a hardcore gamer. I'm playing my RPGs, but I'll still bleed into that type of stuff at times. Like I still will try the occasional mobile game, but it's because I'm so into video games like millions of other people are. But if you start to eradicate them, you start to wipe them out and it becomes this big cash cow to you. I just don't think gaming will be gaming anymore. And so I'm not worried about that because my last point, and then I'll stop here, is this is a creative industry. Like it's driven by creators. Someone somewhere at every point in every generation will get sick of the current trend and look to buck it. It's also just an acceptance of like, you're not going to be Fortnite. Like some companies need to wake up. Like Fortnite is a phenomenon that has managed to cross over brands of all types of entertainment. And I hate to break it to Ubisoft, EA, everyone on the fucking map. You're not Fortnite. You're not Fortnite. Stop taking the art style. Stop taking the gameplay style. Stop trying to make the crossover. Stop taking their modes. Be creative. Be creative. Right. That's the thing. That's what powers the industry. So a lot more to say on that, but I'll stop it there.
No, bro, all fire. Could have said it better. I think all the points you made are fantastic. I've always said on the AAA level, a lot of times it's a copycat league, trends, analytics, and then people trying to be, go for the quick bag. This is what they think people will. We need to have one of those, right?
Yeah,
they did that. We need a Fortnite. We need and it's few and far between. There are a few cases where they will take something and iterate it and make it better in certain ways, right? But for the most part, there's more failures there. And I completely agree with you in the sense of, like, I'm getting all excited because I'm planning my PAX East, right? PAX East is like a big thing for me. That's like a lot of the indie scene.
Bought my badge. Well, I bought my friend's badge.
Oh, you got your,
you got to sign up for the media stuff, but yeah.
I signed up for the media. Yeah, we lit.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm excited because I'm going to see 2022's next batch of creativity and the passion and the original ideas. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember seeing a Fall Guys and one of my writers going to it. I'm like, what is that? He's like, Cog, I'm telling you. And I'm like, really? I remember seeing these games on the ground level and then they just blow up and you're like, yo, this is so crazy. And that's what's going to drive the industry. So I'm 1000% in agreement with you because the indie, what it is they have nothing to lose. This is their first shot. They're going to be as creative as possible. You're going to see things you don't see before because it's not like the AAA where the financial risk is so high. If you flop, the boardroom is like, yo, that last one didn't make da-da-da, so now you're not even afforded a sequel. And, we want nothing but blockbusters. I do struggle with that mentality because it definitely cripples creativity.
I don't know. And you brought it up phenomenally. I don't know how you can look at Fall Guys. I don't know how you can look at Rocket League and go, we need to make AAA free-to-play games to make our money. That's probably the easiest route you can go. Right. But those games are just creative. And are they my favorite games? No, I love Rocket League. I don't play it as much, but like these are games that were just really reinventing the wheel. And guess what? They caught a humongous audience that made many people very rich. It just depends on how rich you want to be, which, as I said, I think it comes down to greed in a lot of places.
You know how the boardroom do.
Yeah. All right. Number 4 goes to Beloved Emperor. Thank you for writing in. Dear Bethesda, Matty, and Sega Cog. After watching the 6-part Xbox documentary, I was left with a lingering thought. There's quite a bit of Sega love. When talking about the original Xbox, they didn't mention the longtime best bud Bethesda a single moment, but they talked about Sega multiple times. I've never really been on the Sega acquisition train and still am not, But do you boys think Xbox is starting to really lay out a narrative that Sega and Xbox belong together? Congrats on 50 episodes, and thanks for a great year of content. Hope both of you have a relaxing holiday season. P.S. Absolutely recommend anyone watch the Xbox documentary. A lot of interesting tidbits, especially the part on Valentine's Day Massacre's crazy stories. I watched a little bit of this because I saw the stories that were popping out of it, especially the one with Lionhead. As a big Fable fan, I was like, yeah, what do they think about what happened with Lionhead? And them kind of admitting, like, yeah, we messed this one up. You're supposed to bring in a studio to help them what they do, not accelerate what you're doing. And they really were transparent on their screw ups there. It's excellent stuff. Please do check it out. They really don't hide anything. And I'm sorry, you will not see anyone else doing this. So it's a really rare moment too.
Yes.
And I hope they sell like a DVD bundle or like a Blu-ray bundle of this. That would be really cool to own. I would happily pay for it. I'm surprised they're just putting it out on YouTube, but a really cool way to celebrate their anniversary. Cog, what do you think though? The shirt says a lot. What do you think about the narrative that's being laid out here? They're spreading the sauce a little bit.
Look, man, I'm telling y'all, we've been talking this for a reason. And OG Xbox fans understand. Again, salute the beloved because he's in the mindset I came into this Duke with. After watching it, my renewed Sega enthusiasm with the connection to Xbox was rekindled because there were two key points. One was, not to spoil the documentary, but there was one with the original Xbox team and the fight to get it started. And there was the DirectX guys, DirectX team, and that was Seamus Blackley and those guys. Those are the guys that ended up winning, right?
Yep.
But then the other team that was pitching their idea for Xbox was the Microsoft CE team. And they had experience because they had put in that operating system in the Sega Dreamcast. They also had experience with making consoles before with that. So you had that one aspect with the Sega thing. Then you had the legend, Peter Moore. Oh, man, the legend was in full force, man. And to hear him, because when Sega went into the software, they transitioned out of the hardware business and went into the software business. They were looking at what Microsoft was doing and getting into the Xbox and creating it. And he pulled them to the side. It was like, look, this is bad. You guys have a bad reputation, as far as developers, retail, no one's going to stock you. This is what you guys need to do. Because Sega was looking back then to align themselves with someone. And Microsoft was it. They had the relationship already. This is years and years of cultivation. Peter Moore has been on record before by saying, hey, one of his motivators for making the 360 as successful and dominant as it was PlayStation killed his beloved Dreamcast. Like he took it personally, he took it hard. So I agree. I think there is a tremendous history, a tremendous lineage between these two companies. This relationship is more than just servers. There will be more to happen out of it. Now, ultimately, we will see if it does go into an acquisition phase or not. But it's clear. It's clear. They clearly like working together, and it's been beneficial for both. I highly recommend this documentary.
Yes,
really good.
I'm right there with you, especially because they even got the Don in there. And
yeah, I'm not up to that episode yet.
They got the Don in there, 5. And he was a little shield up, like, hey, back it up, kind of. You could tell he's got that energy a little bit about, like, I'm on the episode where everything goes down. I feel a little bad for him, but still, I'm glad he showed up. It was really cool.
Yeah, salute to him for showing up. Yeah. I didn't think he would be part of any of this.
No.
And one last point. Salute to Xbox because, like you said, this is a level of transparency I have never seen in the games industry. They are telling you their failures. They're telling you the high moment. Like, I ain't gonna lie, boy, I got emotional because it was like, I lived this. That this is, when the timeline started to mirror up, when they started to develop the system, all the emotions, I was like, yeah, that's how I felt. Like, what are they doing? Microsoft making a system? Like, I remember feeling that way. And I remember the highs, the lows. There's so many moments. And you remember where you were, what you're doing. And last shout out, when they were in New York City. And they're showing, yeah, bro, they caught my boy. That was like, we all went to Times Square. And Jay was the last, my boy Jay Mr. Hodge, shout out to him. He was the last one. And we were like, yo, get your, because we reserved from GameStop. But he's like, yo, they doing a Times Square event. Bill Gates and them gonna be there. Rock gonna be there. Go to Times Square now. So he gets in the cab. He ducked down there, and he told us the whole. He's like, yo, bro, I met him. They handed me my console. I took a picture with Bill Gates, and to
Wow.
see that somebody filmed that, and I'm seeing this, I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
That's a moment right there,
bro.
That's
I was in the fields, bro. I was like, yo, it's such a good series, like so well done.
Absolutely.
Brutally honest.
I agree. Yeah. And you know, each episode's about like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Good sit down TV.
Yeah.
Give it a look if anyone hasn't checked it out yet.
Power on.
I'm going to go back to my original comment that I always say with Sega and an
Let's
acquisition of some kind is for Xbox to make the meaningful progression that many seek out of them on a global level. They cannot deny the nerd culture in Japan, and they need to make a mark. They need to do it for themselves. Even if it's I put this in quotes, sunk cost. They need to do it to make their next step forward. I don't know how else to put it. They need not just like we signed Kojima even. Like I think that'll do something, but like we signed a couple of independent creators. You need to let people know on a brand level, like we're here. Xbox is in, or a part of Xbox is in Japan. We're not just sending out Splinter agents to acquire independent developers and raise the next Kojima, but we are here on a brand level to network and create with you. And I think that does begin with a company that's already well established there. You got Tango Gameworks, but come on, that's not going to do anything, man. We're thinking small here. So to me, I just think granted, we're talking, we just put that into perspective, the hardcore versus the core. I know where the money's at, but I also know, again, Japan is a leader in nerd culture, in geek culture, pop culture, all that. Like they are just there at the top. xCloud is going to be huge. It's going to probably be gigantic in Japan. Make your mark. Let them know you're there. It's, like, again, like you just saw the Series S was one of the best-selling consoles. You know where they're going, right? Like, get them in. Let them know you're there. So, yeah, I think, again, they are laying out a narrative. I think it's also just the history itself speaks for itself. They've always been working together. Always. Look at the games that have been released. Look at the exclusives straight from the original Xbox's launch. Like, there's so much there that it makes a lot of sense there. And Xbox should at least pull them as close to them as possible, if not absorbing them.
Absolutely. And you get that Eastern arm that you're missing out, that influence, and both of them really could benefit. It really can. I hope so. I hope it does develop into something bigger. It could be really massive for both of them.
Speaking of which, AJ Murray is our next write-in before we get into the news. Hey, Dukeman, first off, congrats on 50 episodes. I've absolutely loved listening to this show every week, and I'm looking forward to seeing that continue. I recently started Yakuza 0 after my girlfriend hyped it up to me, and I have to say, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I'm still absolutely floored that every single mainline game on the series is present and accounted for on Game Pass. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but I also highly respect Sega for making the effort to get these games into people's hands. My question to you two is, what are some lesser known / possibly dormant series that you would like to see be made fully accessible to more gamers, whether it be a remake, a remaster, or even just having them available through back compat?
Yo.
This comes at a funny time because I will spoil one part of our news. Yakuza, in some degree, is leaving Game Pass. So
we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about. Great question, AJ. Salute to your girl for putting you on the Yakuza.
That's a girl with good taste,
that's
man.
a keeper right there.
Yeah,
You got one, boy. Look, this, I'm selfish. I'm gonna more turn-based. People need to play more turn-based, and I am going to ride and die for my XCOM. I want something to happen with Firaxis. I want something to happen with 2K games. I need people to play this franchise. Like, it is too good a franchise. It is the creme de la creme as far as I'm concerned, as far as turn-based tactical gameplay. And even now, like, I'm like, where's my Chimera Squad? I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, I have it on my PC. I don't want to play it. I want to play it on console. And I can play with a controller on PC, but I still want to play it and get the achievements on
even
console.
that PC sucks. Let's be real.
Yeah. I don't want the Steven. I want the real joints, you know? So yeah, like XCOM, listen, the original ones, if they could just do that, what was I forgot the second. I mean, obviously we got the part 2, and then we got War of the Chosen, which is pinnacle. And then after that, we have
Gotta play
Chimera
that.
Squad, which is War of the Chosen is amazing.
Gotta
But
play it.
even the XCOM ones, the first two, those were really good. The names are blanking me right now. With the remake XCOM
Enemy
prior to
Unknown, I think.
Enemy Unknown, Enemy Within, and Enemy Unknown. You got
Yeah,
it. Okay,
yeah,
I knew
okay.
I was blanking. It was two of them. It was Enemy
I played the shit
X.
out of Enemy Unknown. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh my god. On 360?
yes, excellent. They're great games on the go. It works. It's like turn-based works for Xbox on so many levels. Cloud, think about it, right? You don't really need all this latency in
Yeah.
turn-based.
Yeah.
It's just your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn. It works, and it's like I think this doesn't have to do with Xbox. I think it's probably 2K and Take-Two, and probably what it is. But I would love as a marketing rollout, towards either before the next XCOM, to get the entire series in Game Pass on Xbox. That would be phenomenal for me. What about you?
I mean, I'm with you, but to get a little crafty with the answer, true co-op games. I'm not talking, these, we see a lot of co-op, but I'm not talking like the servicey mindsets. I'm talking like more It Takes Two, more to some extent Aliens, Fireteam Elite, like more true play with your friends and work together cooperative experiences. They are there. I think of Wasteland 3 as another great co-op experience. They are there, but I want to see that get pushed because we took a whole gen or so off from really good co-op games. I know there are some out there, but I think of like Divinity Original Sin 2 is one of them. It's like very scattered. I know it's because you have to sacrifice a lot on the tech front to get co-op running. But now as we enter a much more, rather are submitted into a much more powerful generation, I think now's the time to really go back to what we saw on, I'd say the mid 360 era, like more real co-op. Co-op campaign being a staple, just being able to play with your friends in an open world setting and not this partner BS like I've seen in a lot of games. I think of Far Cry 6 where your friend's your partner and they join in, but their progress doesn't carry over. Again, true co-op, because
Love it.
I think with Game Pass, it speaks for itself. Multiplayer, you don't got to pay for this. I don't got to pay for this. Download it right now. Let's see what it's all about, right? There's that catch right there that I think works expertly well. But beyond that, I think it's just time because we have the tech where these games can still look good and be truly cooperative. So that's my
with
pick
you.
for sure.
You preaching to me. We both
right.
dukes of co-op. So I love it. And I love what you said about the true implementation, not the guest kind of thing, not the
I
partner.
know Ben will lose his mind here, but like, I'm not talking to Sea of Thieves, like where you all hop into a shared world. Like I'm in a lot of ways over shared world. Like I really am. I think there's potential there, but I have yet to see one really call my name and be like, yeah, this is a world I want to be a part of with everyone. Like it's always feeling jammed in.
Right.
So for me, it's like I want a true co-op game, like more of those, not shared worlds, but actual stories or missions that I play with friends. You talked about Avengers fantastically in prior episodes like that. It's online, it's co-op, but like you got to do a ton of different things and jump through a bunch of hoops before you can actually even unlock it. Like co-op from the get-go. Unlikely co-op picks. Like I know this is a really weird game, but like I think at Two Worlds is not a good RPG.
Two Worlds.
Not that great, right? It's like
but
a
the
hidden
concept was dope.
Yeah, right. But it's the idea like, this Oblivion-like game at the time with co-op. Like, I want to see more daring co-op games, So that's...
I'm with you. Like, so with you, bro. Like, that is... I grew up off of that. It's just so much fun, especially when it's implemented fully with all the bells and whistles and you feel integrated. And that was another thing where I was hoping State of Decay was going to really go harder on because like, I was like, damn, like I wanted to, be able to separate outside of this little circle. Okay, I'm over here, you over there. We're raiding how, hey, I need help. Like I want these emergent stories. And I also want, like you said, I remember a game back in the day. Let's see if you remember this, your Duke of Co-op. Remember, it wasn't the greatest series, but it had a little. Remember Army of Two?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's kind of what was on my mind the whole time. Like I said, like built for co-op, right?
Yeah, like built all the way. And that's why we got to give Joseph Ferris his flowers because he definitely comes from, he's a Duke of Co-op. Like there's no doubt. Like Hazelight, I'm right now when a friend of mine go and play, we're playing a way out, and I never played it local
Oh,
co-op before. And I'm like,
Way
yo,
Out's good. Like it's kind of corny, but that's what's good about it.
it just works. And I'm like, yo, this is hilarious. Oh, yo, distract the guard. All right, I'm gonna move this. I missed. I'm like, damn, where has this been? Because it's like since we've gone online, we're all separate, and it's not the true working together kind of a bit. And I missed that. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's literally the essence of and like you said, last point I'll say is like what you said, how Avengers horribly screwed up. That's why I loved Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It was like, yo, you can play local, all four of us, we could rock. You got online. So I had two people with local. The configuration, it truly respected everyone's situation to play together, whether they're in the same room or online, and integrated perfectly with accounts and everything.
Bro, I'd love to see Xbox pull an Octopath and just extract Ultimate Alliance 3 and throw it on Game Pass. Oh my God.
Let's go.
It's a great co-op game. All right. Lots of wishes, but let's get into the news. Let's get into reality here. We'll start off with yeah, already know. After years of rumors and a hesitant Chris Raygun willing it into existence, Splinter Cell is back in action. Ubisoft has officially greenlit the development of a remake for the first game in the stealth action series. The remake will be made using Snowdrop Engine, which powered the Division, and Ubisoft plans to, quote, respect the original game and fan base, end quote. This is likely deliberately done by the developer to quell the fears people had about the series taking an open world live service approach. Ubisoft is also currently at work on a Star Wars and Avatar game that will arrive in years to come. They also recently came under fire for their studio culture throughout 2021 and are effectively responsible for breaking open the floodgates for NFTs in gaming. All right, Cog, I got a lot to say, so I want to dish it off to you, man, because let me collect my thoughts. Let me just sort it all out here for a sec. You go.
I think we're gonna be in a disagreement here.
That's good. I think that's gonna be good for the audience.
I think this is what I think. I know where you're going.
Yeah,
but look, we're not gonna be in disagreement with NFT. Let's get that out. We're gonna be. I think we're gonna be in disagreement on the Splinter Cell. The reason why is this: we had the Duke on the OG, right? And I saw him on Twitter, and I believe it was him, Paris, and a couple other people. Like, yo, Splinter Cell. This is when the early rumors were out, right? They're like, yo, Splinter Cell, yo, it could come back. And they were like, but do you really want it that way? When you saw all valid points. All valid points. The reason why this excites me is it is a remake, right? So you can't really, it's very hard to mess up a remake. You already have the core foundation of why people love it. And this is what I'm hoping will happen. I know I'm asking a lot, but what I'm hoping will happen is that they get this foundation, and then we have kind of like a Mass Effect trilogy reaction, which is we know BioWare messed up on Andromeda and all that stuff. But then they went back to the core. They remake a sure thing, and it just prints money, and people recognize, oh, you know what? These are the type of games they love. This is what we need to do. And what Ubisoft has lost their way is everything is a clone of everything, and everything got the same UI and template, and everything it's just this mosh posh with a different skin. It's really just, you know what I mean? So with Splinter Cell, it's like, bro, I know Ubisoft, you're trying to chase the bag. But this is one of those situations where you kind of got to look at EA right now. When I'm putting Vince in charge and letting him go off the beaten drum and do his own thing, which is not necessarily industry trends, they're winning. Go back to Splinter Cell, remake this thing. Snowdrop is outside. I like Snowdrop.
Oh, great engine. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how you felt. I as much as I clown the Division with certain things, Division is a beautiful game. And I'm surprised that one died, but that's another rant for me to go on later. But at the end of the day, I like this. You're not bastardizing the franchise. I watched the video. They got the core people from the videos of the OG, bro. It was giving me the feels of why I loved it. I'm like, Michael Ironside, the whole team, do this, gauge the interest, and then what's going to happen is, this is my prediction. If they do it well, they're going to be able to cash out. They're still going to be able to cash out. And then you make something in line with that. Don't need to be open, like super open world, all that other stuff that all the other games that you got doing. Keep this for what it is, the purity of it. And that's what I'm hoping for. So maybe I'm a little optimistic, but let me
Nothing
hear
wrong with
Matty
that.
tear my dreams down.
No. Well, I don't want to
Yeah.
say no on that front,
Here
but
we go.
it's a couple of things, right? That might be putting it generously. It's a lot of things, right?
Here we go.
On a We'll not even talk morals yet. We'll talk what they're doing as a company making games, which is they have a remake already in development for Prince of Persia, which has entered development hell. And I'm just getting this sneaking suspicion. Ubisoft and their patterns right now are reminding me a lot of Bethesda pre-sell off. And I'm not saying they're going to get purchased, but this kind of scrambling for cash and partnerships everywhere, this squirming around, something feels off. Like they got Star Wars, they got Avatar, like we got these big IP now. We're working on a Splinter Cell game the thing people want. They're doing NFTs, they're doing mobile stuff. They're doing microtransactions everywhere. They're turning Far Cry into a service game. They're turning Assassin's Creed into a service game. You see what I'm saying? Like they're
know exactly
effectively
where you're
laid
going.
out for the future to generate revenue and then do these kind of passion projects, if you will, right? Like a Splinter Cell remake. I think of Mario and Rabbids. I think that's still like one of the best Switch exclusives to come out. And I do not ignore that Ubisoft had a significant hand in that. They really did. I sing the praises of that game whenever I can. It's an XCOM Mario game. It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
I know Nintendo was also involved, but yeah, Ubisoft did a lot of the heavy lifting for that. So I know within that company are still a lot of really creative people. And I know some of the higher ups, which have been exposed over this past year, were responsible for the smushing of some of that creativity, some of the cool ideas the studio had, some of the desire to break out of their mold. So all I will say in the sharing of your optimistic point of view is I hope they've realized what we've all seen for years, and I hope that with getting some, we'll say, bad eggs out of the studio, that there's a culture of creativity there. But there's still reports coming out that things aren't really that good there, and that their commitment to a safer, nicer workplace is nothing but wordplay. And I don't know, man. Like it goes beyond that because I'm not trying to virtue signal here. I'm not trying to like, oh, I'm a good person, right? It's like I know I'm a good person. I got nothing to prove out here. It's really just the idea that seeing this announcement made and seeing the same people who are holding them accountable, making these articles, making these videos on how much they suck, how bad they are as a studio, how creatively bankrupt they are as game creators. And then you look at them kick down the doors on another horrible monetization practice in gaming. And it's like, did we just forget that all so quickly because they're making fucking Splinter Cell, right? Not that you did. I'm not talking to you, but I'm saying in general to like the industry widely. Like, did we really just forget all of that because of one announcement from a company that really deserves no trust right now, morally, creatively, none whatsoever? I don't know. And I'm not even talking like a lot of people think because I railed Far Cry 6. Like that's why it's like that's honestly the last of it all because I know Far Cry is a formula and we see what they're doing with it turning into a service game in the future. So I'm not really even thinking on that front. It's just like they have not shown me any creativity outside of Mario and Rabbids in the last like half a decade, really. Like even as someone who liked Assassin's Creed Valhalla a ton, it's a formula, man. And it really is, right? Yeah, it's an algorithm. And there's a formula that works. That's the one that kind of works for me. I like the fantasy, the power fantasy Assassin's Creed provides. But as I watch more Assassin's Creed YouTubers, I want to shout out a buddy of mine, JV. He does great videos. I want to shout out Lasers. He also does great videos. They do a show called Lasers and Tyler Dynamite do a show called As Always. They were big Ubisoft creators, and they really broke down like what made the Assassin's Creed game special. And like it was one of those moments where like I still really like Valhalla, but seeing how special some of those early Assassin's Creed games with their creativity and some of their ideas, I can see, especially in their eyes, like how disappointing some of these moves have been on a creative level. So just all in all, rounding it up, I see a company that deserves no trust and no hype for this one. I think they got a lot to prove. And if this becomes the start of a turnaround, great. But count me out on an excitement. I'll just see it when it gets here. And it's going to be a while because they just said they greenlit development. So they're getting started now. Probably 2022.
Listen, I hear where you're coming from. Like valid. Like at this, they have to earn the trust, right? They've been in a rut to the point where, I've heard, shout out to Jez, we call him, was it the dad of Xbox? Like,
Yes, we do.
I've heard him have one of the most hilarious and truthful rants on Ubisoft I've ever heard. I was like, wow. If I ever say this, I was wondering if he gonna get blacklisted after. Like, it was that, but it was from the heart. It was true. And we've seen them lose their way. We've seen them get into that part where I always find interesting when I went to a Ubisoft conference. I always felt like they were willing to put their stuff and do anything. Is just whatever. Stadia's out where exclusive. You're gonna have this. Like, it doesn't matter where the bag was coming from. They was getting it.
They're easy,
right? So look, I get it, and it's funny you said what you said about how it mirrors to you pre-Bethesda acquisition by Microsoft.
just taking any bag.
Right. So who knows what's going on, right? I will say that, I say that to say this. I listened to this 10-minute documentary of, how they're bringing it back and all this stuff. But I found interesting, they kept going out of their way to mention Xbox and thank Xbox. And when it came out, and we were so nervous and we were so glad Xbox gave us a chance to put this title. We didn't know how it was going to be received.
The original one, right?
Yeah, the OG,
Right.
the OG, right? And they're like, how it was going to be received, and it was super stealth. It was in the lighting. It was such a great looking title for its time. And granted, they could just be in a time capsule because they're talking about the first one. I just thought it was interesting. It's a long level of praise for Microsoft in this, and I'm like, obviously we know this is multi-plat, at least we think, but I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes some Game Pass or maybe some deal down the road, because it was very interesting. And I remember hearing rumors in the past.
Back in October, we had heard that Splinter Cell was going to be announced, so it's interesting to see the timing of it all.
And I'm talking about bigger picture rumors. I've heard rumors, multiple, like, Ubisoft could be doing something with them. Ubisoft, you never know. Whether not even maybe not the full level acquisition like a Bethesda, but maybe an EA type deal where it's like, hey, all our games eventually will be in, well, maybe they merge in. Because don't they have a service, Ubisoft something?
Uplay Plus, yeah.
Uplay Plus, right. Maybe the Uplay Plus gets merged into Ultimate. I wouldn't be surprised. It just, the reverence that they kept mentioning Xbox in, and I'm like, you guys supposed to be talking about something. I get it, and that was the first platform. I get it, but it was a long segment, Matt. You got to watch that video. Like, I was just like,
I didn't even know they dropped one. That's interesting.
Yeah, in the article where they announced it, there's a video about 10 minutes, and it's really good. Like, it's gonna get you. I need you to watch it because I know where you're at, but and rightfully so. They got to earn it. They got to earn it. Everything you said, I get.
Right.
They got to earn it. They've done nothing to earn your trust, and I completely respect that. I would just say watch that, Joy, just to see how they internalize it and what's going on. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'll be honest with you, Cog. I don't know if it'll change anything, but
it probably won't.
But it'll be good to get an idea of where they're at. And again, I could see this totally being a turning point for them in a lot of ways. But we're talking, if they're greenlighting it now,
yes,
they're probably not starting until 2022. So we're talking about a turning point in 4 years where we'll probably get the next Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, like it. Their turning point is many years away, so that's why I cannot spare a fuck to give at the moment.
Listen, man, you have the right. You got the right.
I appreciate that. All right, let's get into more happy stuff. Number 2. The fun didn't stop for Xbox after the aptly nicknamed Lame Awards. The following day, they had a short ID at Xbox showcase to unveil some new games heading to Xbox Game Pass very shortly on release day. Those games are Sniper Elite 5 in 2022, Trek to Yomi in 2022, Pigeon Simulator in 2022, Huge Calf Studios is making a new golf game in 2022, Weird West arrives to Game Pass January 11th, 2022, Paparazzi January 20th, 2022, Edge of Eternity is a JRPG arriving day one on Game Pass February 10th, 2022. Just note, this game's in early access on PC, so you could play it right now if you wanted to. And then lastly is Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, coming to Game Pass in 2022. Beyond that, we also learned a plethora of brand new Game Pass games arriving throughout the rest of December. Among Us is coming to the cloud December 15th, so this will be out by the time you're hearing this. Ben 10 Power Trip will be arriving December 16th alongside Broken Age on cloud console and PC, Firewatch cloud console PC, The Gunk cloud console PC, Lake cloud console and PC, Mortal Kombat 11 cloud console and PC, Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Save Adventure Bay cloud console and PC, Race with Ryan cloud console and PC, Record of Lotus War, Deed It in Wonder Labyrinth cloud console and PC, Transformers Battleground cloud console PC. These are all December 16th, all cloud console PC. Then these games got added touch control for xCloud, Astria Ascending, Bug Fables, The Everlasting Sapling, Dicey Dungeons, Fade Tactics, I Am Fish, One Step from Eden, Ring of Pain, Sable, and The Gunk, which is coming very soon. And these games leave the service on December 31st. Pro Evolution Soccer 2021 leaves cloud and console. The Little Acre leaves cloud and console. Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, and Yakuza Kiwami 2 all leave cloud, console, and PC. A Game Pass staple. All right, so a lot there. Normally, I like to cap off our news with Game Pass stuff, but I figured between the announcements, new day one stuff at the beginning of 2022, and a lot of stuff coming throughout December, I wanted to put it here in the newsreel. All right, so how are you feeling now about Xbox's 2022 when, specifically the beginning part, because we were talking about they need to be a little bit more competitive, and we know that PlayStation's doing Horizon. We know a lot's going on there. You need to get involved. Are you seeing something here percolating? You know, you're like, okay, this is a start, or are you happy with this?
It's a start. It's a start. I'm not getting super crazy, but it's a start. Like I feel it reminds me of like when they tried to fill in the blanks, you know, with Ascent and 12 minutes, and
Yeah.
they had some good Death's Door. They had some cool indie games, some cool things on their service, and I'm like, all right, these are interesting. I'll be honest. Trek to Yomi got my attention. That is, you know, the ninjas. Oh,
I knew it.
that.
I knew it when I saw it.
Oh, I
I
saw
knew
the
it.
art style. I see what was going on. It's giving me a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima look vibes. Not like the whole game is gonna be like that, but I just liked where they were going with that. So I'm like, okay, that's one for me. A lot of diverse titles, you know. Shout out to you. You get your paparazzi, so I know you're gonna go crazy. I know you're gonna go crazy with that. You know, look, there's some cool joints in there. I would say Among Us is huge. Huge to be on Xbox. That is an Xbox social type of game. That's big. I like people sleeping, yo. I don't know if you played this. Firewatch is amazing.
I have not played it. I really wasn't interested in it, to tell you the truth, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, Firewatch is a sleeper. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, you know, we got Mortal Kombat in there. That's pretty big. Mortal Kombat being in the service, kind of like that. Again, all this stuff is really cool stuff, nice filler stuff, gap stuff. We got to talk. Oh, Gunk is big. You know, that's one that a lot of people got their eye on. It's coming in the service. That's a good look. We got to talk about them Yakuza games.
Let's hear it.
We got to talk about that. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, I was just singing the praises that the whole series is there. Figured they'd be there a little longer, Matty. Like, why are we leaving? Why? What's happening? So that's a little disconcerting to me. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. You know, so Like a Dragon and the new stuff and, you know, newer stuff is there, but I thought they would be around because I don't know what's the dates they went in. It feels like
I'm looking at it right now. And it says Yakuza 0 available for Game Pass on PC. This was February 2020. So we're looking at almost 2 years.
Okay, no. 2020. Oh, no, I'm bugging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I take it back. I didn't realize. You know what it is for me? It still feels new. So I didn't realize it. So it was 2020?
Beginning of 2020, wow. Yakuza 0 hit Game Pass. I'll check Kiwami as well in the meantime. But
okay.
Yeah.
No, I stand corrected. I didn't know it was that. I thought these were all 2021 editions. Yeah. You know what it was? You're right.
Kiwami 1 was April 2020.
Yeah, you're right. Because Like a Dragon, the one I was really waiting for, that one was this year.
That was E3. Yep.
Yes. So this is crazy. No, I take it, but that's a long time. That's a lot. 2 years in the service. I can't get
And then
mad. That's a
Kiwami
long.
2 was July 30th, 2020.
Yeah, I can't get mad. I take it back. That's 2 years. You had to have played that already. Like, come on, fam.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I just think it was one of those situations where we're sitting there so long that,
Yeah.
if you haven't played it, download it, give it a try real quick, see if you're going to end up wanting to buy it. I am of the mindset that everyone's first Yakuza game is their favorite, so just be prepared for that.
Yes.
Because like my friend played Judgment for the first time, and he never played a Yakuza game. He's like, I love Judgment, so good. I play it. I'm like, this is flawed, but it's pretty good. My favorite Yakuza game is Kiwami 1. Guess what? It's my favorite. My friend played Yakuza 0, loves it, his favorite, but he hops into Kiwami 1. He's like, yeah, it's solid, right? Everyone's first Yakuza game is their favorite because it's so different. It's so out there. You have these hilarious mini games. You have these amazing life sim elements. You have great combat. And then you have this deep, dark story that's character driven. Like it's a bunch of things that make no sense. It surprises you at every turn. But the issue is the whole Yakuza series up until Like a Dragon uses the same world template. So each entry becomes a little more familiar, a little more story dependent. So just expect that going in, but know that if you play one Yakuza game, it's not like you've played them all, but know if you play one, you're likely going to love it. So give it a shot.
My first was Like a Dragon, and I'm like, it's the GOAT.
Yeah. But Like a Dragon is different enough where I could see that. It's turn-based, it's a new world space. I get that.
Because everybody, I was like,
protagonist.
I was like, should I start? And they were like, because I was like, I'm really liking this Like a Dragon. I'm like, this looks really like I'm going to like it. And it's turn-based. They were like, Cog, you can start anyone. You can start that. It's self-contained in the sense that you'll be okay. And me not even playing the other ones, the game was done so well. I felt that who I'm about to encounter from these other games, this is an iconic moment. The game made me feel, I had no history, and I'm like, something's happening here. This is special. Like, and then when I talked to my friends or I put up a screenshot, they were like, yo, you fought Gajima. Yo, he's the I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like it was a thing. So yeah. Great point about whatever your first one is your favorite. That's absolutely. A great point.
And I'm curious to see with how Yakuza undoubtedly grew through Game Pass. I'm wondering if we'll see a little day one action for whatever they do next. Obviously, The Lost Judgment has come and gone. But I do wonder with the Yakuza series in particular, how they go about that one.
Good point.
I personally, of the new day one announcements, I'm with you. I think that this is a good start. We got some nice games to begin the year. Day one on Game Pass. I still think they need that big fish. I don't think Weird West, Paparazzi, and Edge of Eternity are going to outmuscle something like Horizon. I don't think anything will, but you need to have a presence. And again, my foot is on the throat of Dying Light 2 to sacrifice their sales for the good Game Pass membership. I'm going to throw out Sniper Elite 5, though. I thought this was a really smart get. This is a series that's very good, but it's one that, much like Yakuza, once you see it, you kind of know what you're going to get. It's a known quantity in a lot of ways. And yeah, the X-ray kill cam shots, the open level design, there's a lot about it. It's fun. And Cog co-op.
Co-op.
Yeah, Sniper Elite is a co-op series, and it is a very good one. It's a lot of fun going around, listening to the mortars popping off and timing your shot with that because you don't have silencer and you're shooting from a mile out and you just see like the Nazi soldiers panicking like, oh, who just shot us? What's going on? Just taking them out one by one. Nice. Really cool audio driven experience in a lot of ways. I do hope they change after this entry, the time period. I feel like they're putting this one in particular in Game Pass to get people to hear about it. I think the Zombie Army games were in Game Pass for some time, if I remember correctly. And I'm hoping that with Sniper Elite, if it gets on the map a little bit more with this entry, which it already is on the map, but I just hope this is enough to push people over into liking it, that when they change up the series a little bit and say, like, someone suggested in my comments, I thought it was phenomenal, like go to Vietnam, something like that. I think because they've done 5 games in World War II now. Again, I know I love World War II, but I think it's time for a little bit of a change. So little change would be nice to see. Other than that, the new editions coming in, got a shout out Mortal Kombat 11. Great game. If you haven't played it, really good fighter.
Classic. Oh yeah, it's really good. Oh, I love it. Mortal Kombat.
Otherwise, we see Xbox really addressing their kid-friendly games, their family-friendly games here. Ben 10, Paw Patrol, Race with Orion. Yeah, Transformers Battlegrounds. These all look like kid games. That's good. Yeah, they
Yeah.
anticipate a lot of little Jimmys getting
I,
their own Xbox this Christmas, don't they?
I might be little Jimmy with Transformers Battleground. Like I know
Oh,
that game look like it's gonna be bad. I could already
I was
see
gonna
it. It
say.
just, but they got the license. I'm a G1 fanboy, and then it's like turn-based and G1 Transformers. I have to try this. Like I'm already expecting the worst, but we'll see.
Okay, well, you let us know how that goes because
You let us know.
yeah, because I looked it up. I saw it. I thought you were right. I was like, Transform. I was like, what's that? I look it up. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
It looks horrible, but I'm like,
You're like
I
me,
gotta dip
man.
my toe in it.
You and I are the same. I'm like that with TMNT, right? I've played and beat Mutants in Manhattan 4 times, and I fucking hate that game. But I play because I love the Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, it's the newest thing, man.
It's the newest thing. I gotta see.
Yeah.
I gotta see. Yep, that's how I am with G1 Transformers.
Yep, and that's a co-op game too. Not Transformers, but TMNT. All right.
Yes.
Number 3. While there was a massive GTA 6 leak earlier in 2021, another beloved Rockstar game has been making the rounds in headlines throughout the industry. It has been reported by industry insider Tom Henderson that Bully 2 is in the works. Quote, Bully 2 was expected as a potential surprise reveal at the Game Awards last week after some people have been shown some material alluding to a reveal soon. Information is a bit blurry at the moment, and I have to be quite vague here, but if I hear more, I will report on it. Some people saw a playable version just a couple of weeks prior to the Game Awards, not the canned version. Like I said, information is blurry at the moment, but I do think it was, but I thought it was worth reporting on, as there's definitely something going on with the series. Tom Henderson is a reliable Call of Duty leaker, but also stretched his legs into uncharted territory with the aforementioned Grand Theft Auto 6 rumor, which was then corroborated by Jason Schreier. Now, this isn't in my notes here, but I want to throw out there that he was also the one who reported a Splinter Cell remake was in development, which we now know is true.
Ooh, so the track record.
Track records here on stuff beyond Call of Duty. Without treating either of their words as gospel, we can somewhat safely go out on a limb and assume there is knowledge of the inner workings of Rockstar by this individual. That said, Bully fans are always anticipating disappointment given that this isn't the first time reliable leaks have occurred for the game. In a follow-up to Tom's original story shared on his Twitter, he said the following. As for me, and it's fine to be skeptical, I'm actually more confident than yesterday in regards to something happening with the Bully franchise. As I said, Bully fans are expecting the worst, and when one fan suggested it's likely a definitive edition, much like what the GTA trilogy received, Tom said, quote, details are sketchy, but I feel like I would have been told it's the definitive edition if that was the case. I was not. I was told it was Bully 2, end quote. Tom went to the length of sharing some of his direct messages on Twitter, which suggests that many journalists are under DNA regarding a Bully 2 demo, which was shown off to the press and retailers and thus expected to be shown at the Game Awards, but was pulled at the last minute.
I'm going to let you kick this off because I know how you feel about Bully. So let's get it.
I unapologetically think this is their best game from Rockstar. I know there have been more impactful, way more impactful games. Don't get it twisted, but I really think like creatively, the ideas and the execution and the fun of exploring the world, Bully did it so well. Like instead of getting in a car, you're on a skateboard, you're using a potato gun, a slingshot. Like it captures that typical thought of a high school bully. Yeah, you're a mischievous kid. You're fighting teachers in the hallway, stuffing kids in lockers, giving them swirlies. It captures that typical bully mentality.
Mhm.
But then Jimmy Hopkins, like I'm just gonna shout out him as a character. Like I think he's one of Rockstar's best characters. This guy who comes in as a fucking brat. And I won't spoil it for those who haven't played, but just seeing his development as a person, seeing him grow up, it's really good stuff. Learning your fighting moves from hobos behind the trash can, like it's great, man. There's so much about Bully that's wonderful, and I think they have the chance to tell a great story, an impactful one, with today's society, which is cyberbullying, real bullying, mental health awareness. Like those 3 pillars are more prevalent than ever in today's world and talked about more than ever. Where I feel like Rockstar has the chance to tell something really deep and insightful. Honestly, like it's what I think of with Persona. For those who've played it, the first 10 hours of Persona 5, there's a kind of a tale of the bully, right? A tale of someone abusing their power. And it's extremely good. It's really captivating. So I would love to see Rockstar, who really doesn't pull their punches at all, tackle these tough subjects. Beyond
Yeah.
that, though, the idea of them like taking to a college setting and the way you can straddle the line there, like, are there cars? Is it a mini GTA? Or are you giving us like bikes again, skateboards? I just think it's such a playground for fun mechanics too. So I'd love to see this. I've been praying for a Bully 2
I
for a
know. I know.
long,
I know.
long while, man.
This is you.
So I'm very, very excited about this one. But I want to kick it off to you before we continue on. What do you feel about Bully 2, or Bully in general, I should say, and the leak here that we've got?
Yeah, shout out. I mean, Tom is his name, right?
Yeah, Tom.
Very reliable, and it seems that this is on point. And I'm with you. I always felt it was such a unique title for its time, and I love the art style. I even like the character's faces. He's just like the most mischievous looking kid I've ever seen, and you just get into it. The only thing I worried about, I was like, we got to be honest, man. Like, in the day and time we live now, right? I was like, are they going to be able to greenlight it? Because I miss the thing about Rockstar and GTA and Bully. Let's be honest, they did straddle the line. They were very edgy, right? But that's what made their games lovable, because they really went there, right? They really attacked the issues. And I think it could be, like you said, a great tool for teaching moments as well, that if you do all this stuff or whatever, or maybe the evolution of the character and stuff like that. There's a lot of opportunity here. But we got to be real. In a cancel culture, a Bully game is going to be hard to put out. And I want to know if they got
Only
the
they could
balls
do it.
to do it, right? Because if they do it, right, and it hits, it could really help. And I'm pro developer. I'm pro creative thought. And I want people to be able to express themselves. And if you don't like it, just don't buy it, right?
Yep.
But the game should exist. And my whole thing is I'm just worried about that aspect. But with this room, I like, if it's true, like, and it seems that all the things are lining up. Kudos, because I want to see this thing continue, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
We download that journey on 360.
I think
It's on back.
if this announcement does occur, say in 2022, I think as it reaches the more casual crowd, there will be an outcry. But I think if you're into gaming, some of this stuff's kind of been tackled before. Again, I brought up Persona 5 with Kamoshida. I bring up Kate from Life is Strange. I think these are stories about characters in school.
But they're different. The title is named Bully.
Yeah.
See,
that's totally right.
That's the only, if it was named anything else, I'll be like, yeah, it's coming back, no problem. They ain't gonna have nothing to worry about.
Totally true.
But I know how sensitive times are with certain groups, and people will be like, oh no, and we gotta stop this. And I'm just like, that's the only thing. But it seems like this is gonna happen. And I'm happy if they could pull this off and make this game come out. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good point that the name of the game is really what hurts it the most. But for those who are worried about the subject matter, I do feel like it's been tackled multiple times. So
yeah, for sure.
I guess it's really just the idea of playing as potentially the bully, which again, I think will be misused, as we've seen in modern media. I think if I'm a creator, I just go, it's going to happen anyway. Like, people just sometimes are never going to get video games, never going to understand it. They're not going to understand the idea that if I pick up a controller and play a first person shooter, I'm not going to become a serial killer. Like, it just doesn't work that way. It's not how it functions. That's just not a commonly known fact, a fact. So again, if I'm a creative, I'm just like, look, let's take the free PR. Let's make Bully 2.
Good point.
Let's make Bully 2.
About that.
Right?
Good point.
Yeah, like, look, if I'm Rockstar 2, I'm like, Take-Two's a piece of shit, man. Like, they're running down YouTubers. They're suing everyone under the fucking sun. Like, us making a bully game, is that the worst that's going to be attached to us right now? It's like, no, it's not. Yeah. So again, if I'm a creative and I'm working at Rockstar, I'm like, let's just make what we want to make, man. Because bad PR is going to come one way or another. We already dropped GTA Trilogy. That shit was broken, like, from the ground up here, man. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, man. They was outside messing with Joseph. They try to sue it. It Takes Two for the name.
They try to take their name, or they put a claim or a patent on it, and so they're not going to go after it. Which I get. It's like, as long as they don't lose the name, who cares? But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, guys, let's calm down here.
Whatever. Yeah, they need it. They need a W with that, so they do need the press.
Yeah,
I agree with Bully.
So we'll see how that goes, but Bully fans, be aware there may be hope here, but I'm with you on not fully buying in despite a great track record of Tom here. It's no disrespect to him. It's just, I know what it's like, man. We've gone through this
Yeah.
since I think 2016. It's been time in, time out, lots of rumors.
Yeah, it's just like I know how you feel. It's like you've been burned, you've been hurt. So until you see it in
Yeah.
fruition, even though everything is lining up, it's like I get it.
I'm like, okay, I know about it. It's in my consciousness now, but I'm not on the edge of my seat waiting for it.
Exactly. You gotta protect the heart.
Yeah, I know. I also know Rockstar. They'll announce it when they want to.
Oh, that's another thing.
We always talk about Bethesda game studios, I think, being that creature of we'll do it when we want to, but even they have their patterns. Rockstar, it's just we'll see you when we see you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's getting to be that time, right? It's been 3 years since Red Dead Redemption 2. So we're really 2 and some change, but I digress. Actually, no, it was 2018. Yeah, it was 3 years. We're moving into the 4th year. So yeah, it's getting to be that time where they should be announcing something shortly. So we'll see.
Cool.
Number 4, man. So we got to talk about the S.T.A.L.K.E.R metaverse here. I normally have a script written up, but I just wanted to take a more organic approach to this, just so you can see some of the wordplay being used by the newly announced NFTs for a timed Xbox exclusive. Do know that based off the leak at the Apple and Epic court case, we now know S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is a 3-month exclusive game for Xbox, nothing longer than that. So it's not going to be around on the platform for much longer once it releases. The reason I bring that up is just because the nature of their timed exclusives are changing. We saw that with Death's Door as well. But let's get into some of the wordplay here. So a new Twitter account called S.T.A.L.K.E.R Metaverse tweets, to all hunters, seekers, scavengers, to all the stalkers, time to go deeper into the zone. It's quoted by the official S.T.A.L.K.E.R Twitter account saying, "Welcome to the S.T.A.L.K.E.R metaverse. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is not a blockchain-based game. It has no influence on gameplay. It's completely optional. There will be free giveaways for the community members, all tokens to be activated before release." Right? So then I pop open my email from a PR newswire, and I'm like, let's read exactly how GSC and the company that they're working with, known as D-Market, worded this PR statement to people like myself, to journalists. So let's read it word for word. In partnership with Los Angeles-based D-Market, a platform for trading NFTs and technology for metaverse creation, GSC will use blockchain technology to let community own a piece of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. The rights to a certain unique item will belong to the players, and it is the first time for a AAA video game. Quote, "Considering the global trends in gaming, we can do more than just offer an immersive game experience. Our players can get a deeper presence in the game, and we will give them this opportunity by presenting the first AAA game with a unique meta experience," end quote, says Evgeny Grigorovich, CEO of GSC Game World, which is the company developing S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Beginning in December 2021, users may register for item drops that will evolve into new gaming features built on top of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. The first drop will take place via auction and is scheduled for January 2022. As part of the drop series, the first ever metahuman will be released and exposed to hundreds of millions of gamers worldwide. In-game, the metahuman will appear as an NPC or a non-playable character. The face of the real owner will be recreated in the game by using photogrammetry technology, resulting in the highest possible level of realism. The second drop will follow in February with the highly secretive Genesis packs. The next drops will be announced on Twitter and Discord. To add any S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 related drops won't influence the gameplay itself or give any in-game advantages over other players. Quote, "Video game developers worldwide are expressing their intentions in using the blockchain and other beneficial technologies, while GSC is already there. The company is adding a unique layer and bringing their game to a whole new level in the global metaverse and Web 3.0 dimension. With the joint efforts of GSC and DM Market, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 will become a game of the future and a game for the community," end quote, says Vlad Penchenko, CEO and co-founder at D-Market. In addition, all items can be traded on the dmarket.com platform even before the official release of the game. For additional information, please visit dmarket.com/stalker metaverse.
Yeah. So this is a hot one. Get ready. Get ready, gamers. This is where it's going. I'm telling y'all now. What's that? It's a Destiny quote. It's a funny one. Whether you like it or not, it's famous. We've entered a war with the cabal. And that's where we're going. Look, this is gonna be the thing, y'all. Yeah, I see it. It reminds me of like when loot boxes and all that stuff and microtransactions really got aggressive. You know, this for a lot of people and a lot of corporations, once the tendrils get in, it's going there with that content and then auctions and all it's gonna take is for the right game to really snap into that the addictive quality of gamers and feel that they need it. I just look at Fortnite, right? And I look at how that has shifted the industry. Whether you say good or bad, right? It has shifted the industry. That game is a force. It's gonna be a game. I'm not saying it's Stalker, but I think we'll save Stalker right now. The fact that it's kind of it's not Game Pass, is it? Is it Game
Yeah, it'll
Pass?
be Game Pass, I believe.
Okay, so
I'll
that
double
kind of
check.
saves Stalker on some level. So I'm getting it for free. I do what I want. But when you start talking NFTs, you start talking about this unique content. You start talking about like these corporations are paying notice.
Game Pass day one.
Yes, they're paying notice. They're gonna look at those analytics. They're gonna look at what players are buying, and if someone makes the fly new helmet. So I know, Matty. I know your blood's boiling. I know you hate this. I'm a person that I follow trends. I don't know what the game's gonna be, but there's going to be a game where gamers are going to bend the knee and you're gonna see all this going around, and then you're gonna get the verse. And that's where it's going. So I hate to break it to my OGs. This is where it's at, man. And it's gonna be interesting how much pushback. I want to see how that goes if gamers truly take a stand and
There's been some
say, yo,
resistance here, but
right,
obviously verbal.
right, verbal. But see, the thing is gonna be is who's gonna do it for who's gonna be bold enough to do it first. But my money is on like NBA 2K. like somebody's gonna be extra because you see NBA was like, yo, we got Jake from State Farm in here. We got like someone is going to be super egregious with something that a lot of people love. And that's when I'm gonna sit back and I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna say, okay, let's see how this gonna play. But I'm gonna open it up to you because I can't wait to hear what I can see the steam coming on. I'm ready for this. This is the subject I am here for. Maddie, take the floor away. Let's go.
It's not even anger. It's funny because you're like a steam. It's like I'm really disappointed. Like I really am because it took one company to be like, yo, we're doing Ubisoft courts. And I know it started before us, but like it took one and suddenly it's like a domino effect. And they're all like, oh, now we do ours. Now we do ours. We'll do ours. Let's get it out there. Let's get it out there. Let's see, we'll be the one who changes the narrative or get them while they're all upset, whatever. They're going to complain anyway. They're not going to just dunk on us. So for those who don't know, NFTs not only just like fucking slaughter the environment, right? But you're paying for the rights to use something. You don't even fully own it. And we're talking about something that's effectively a screenshot, like a digital token. Like you're paying for something that's not tangible. Like I paid for these glasses in my hand. I bought them. They were given to me. We're talking about the rights for something digitally. It's a fucking scam. And to see so many companies openly participate in blatantly scamming, I understand if you're a company like, yo, money season. I get it. But again, it's something we talked about, Cog, with the Game Awards. Not all money's good money. And as someone who gets a lot of, say, I'm not a flex, someone who gets a lot of sponsorship offers, a lot of high paying ones, like play our game, we'll pay you this much, thousands, tens of thousands, we'll pay you this much. Is it fucking worth it? I ask you that. Is it fucking worth it for the 0.1% of people who are going to consume this content, who are going to engage in it, who are going to give a fuck about it? Is it really worth it? That's all. Because I look at those offers I get and I'm like, wow, it would be great to walk away with 20 grand to play this mobile game. But wow, would my audience hate me? Again, is it worth it? Sometimes it's truly not. I'll take the $1,000, the X $100 offer instead, and I'll make little bits here and there instead, and I'll put the stress on myself as a creative because guess what? I value my audience. I value they've given me the time. What this says to me, it's not even just the scam. It's not the issue with them making money. It says to me, we don't give a fuck about you. We don't give a fuck about you, and we found a new way to bleed you dry with something. You're literally buying nothing. You're paying for nothing. And actually, there's a title I saw on YouTube. I didn't watch the video. It was a Jim Sterling video. It said, they're literally selling nothing now. And that's exactly how I felt. I was like, yep, they're literally selling you nothing. And I think it's disappointing. If you're a businessman, businesswoman, you're listening to this, there's probably reasons why you're like, oh, I'm all for this future. I just, it's not even about the purity of gaming, right? Like when microtransactions come in, like I get that because that's a monetization where it's at least gamified to some extent. I'm not talking about the psychological gamified we're looking at with loot boxes being like casino machines, GTA Online adding a legitimate casino. Like I'm not talking about that gamified. I'm talking about like you play, you earn the cosmetics, or you could pay a couple bucks, you could put a skin on, right? Like it sucks, but it kind of like not even the bending of the knee. It's like, I get it. Necessary evil for some of these service games that they want to accomplish their vision. And then you see games like S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, where it's like, okay, so even if you're a single player game, it doesn't matter. Like we're not even talking live service. We're talking about NPCs in games now being NFTs. So now our games are going to be populated by people who are like, yo, that's me. It's like, congrats, you're a loser. Like, that's what I'm going to say to you, man. Like, shit, like you paid, you bought into the scam.
Maddie, you're not going to buy to put yourself in Fallout?
No.
You're not going to buy to put yourself, you don't want to be in the new Elder Scrolls NFT? You don't want to be in there?
And that's the thing is like,
with your hot sweater?
I think of when, it's funny you bring up Bethesda, right, with Fallout, because I remember in Fallout 4, their last DLC, Nuka World, a fan of theirs had passed away, and they, what's the word I'm looking for? Immortalized a fan of theirs by putting them in the content. And Shirley Curry is another example. Skyrim grandma, many know her as. She's in her 80s, man, and I hope she lives to see Elder Scrolls 6, but there's always the chance she doesn't. Bethesda invited her in. They scanned her in. They're putting her in the game as an NPC. Like, they confirmed that. And I'm like, that's great. Like, now we're going to see people paying. Like, now it's going to become a business method. You're going to pay to be the NPCs in games. Like,
bro,
that's way too weird for me. That's not even gamifying it. Like, that's just...
bro,
a dangerous level of monetization.
Get ready.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm bracing you now.
I know.
This is where it's going. Yeah. And right from
why do you think, guys, real
quick,
I just got to throw out there, for those who are wondering, this isn't a self-plug. If anyone's wondering why I started up Retro Rebound, you know now. You know now. Because I know there's going to be a lot of people who are like, today's gaming space fucking sucks.
Right. And you're creating a space for the physical and the, let's be honest, the purity of it,
the love of it,
and the love of it, right? And I get it. It just, to me, this goes back to the earlier conversation we had a couple topics ago, which is, sadly, these type of practices and these type of shifts in gaming are going to prey on this next generation of gamers that's younger than us. That whatever that, because if I'm a generation X. And you're millennial, I'm assuming.
I was born in 95, so I don't know. I don't pay attention to these
all right, whatever we are, right?
I think I'm technically Gen Z, I thought. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Whatever that next, the 13, the 12 to whatever, like, this is them. And kids are impressionable. And kids are going to be like, oh, wow, I'm going to be in Call of Duty. I'm going to pay $5, so whatever. And it's going to be the right game at the right time that's going to prey on this, and this is where it's going. And I literally see it. I see it, and it's like S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I'm like, it ain't you. It ain't you, fam. But
at least multiplayer games, I could put it together. Like, you could show people that, but a fucking NPC,
the single player, like, this is egregious off the rip. Like I was shocked that they jumped in there. I was like, really?
I mean,
Okay.
was there any like? I get it, right? They're timed exclusives, so it's not like an Xbox first party game. But like, was there any consideration like, hey, Phil Spencer just kind of came out and really said that NFTs are predatory.
Right.
Like, think of
I was shocked he said that.
yeah, like think of the platform that we are going exclusively to. Like,
right.
I admire Xbox for not stopping them doing what they're doing on a level of like, look, you want to make this choice of your game, you make this choice of your game. You're
Right.
only with us for a set amount of time. But like, there was not even a consideration on the level of partnerships made. And again, it's why I was
Absolutely.
like, they don't give a fuck.
And where I think this could go, which is going to be interesting, is the courts. And we've seen how loot boxes finally got that pushback, right? We've seen a lot in some European court cases, things like that. We should get definitely we should do a hold on this at one point, do an ultimate.
I got an email too about a lawyer who was working in this digital space who wanted to come on a DDU episode and tell the positive benefits of NFTs.
Okay.
So I was thinking we'll get together on that probably in January and really see what it's like for someone who sees a bright future in it and what that's like. Because I'm not seeing it, but I think provided they accept, they reached out to me. Provided they accept, we'll be doing that in January, I think. So that'll be good.
I'm looking forward because again, one thing I love about Last Stand and what we're doing at Duke is like, look, even when we're in a disagreement or we don't understand something, I love the fact that we can bring people in who are versed in, and see the full spectrum of it, right? For me, it's not nothing I'm interested in right now, right? It's not nothing, but I do understand where things. I'm a very analytical person. I'm a very trends person. Even with things I don't necessarily agree with, I like to see where markets and stuff are going. So this is intriguing to me, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I knew it this time. I was like, oh, Matty, gonna have some things to say.
I'm a purist through and through, so that makes me a little bit predictable.
I'll feel you.
All right, let's move on to number 5 here. Scorn was set to launch in fall of 2021, as it was announced at E3 2021, but it appears it's receiving the Halo Infinite treatment. The Xbox exclusive has been pushed all the way back until October 2022, in what is a fitting month for the survival horror title coming from Ebb Software. The developer provided clarity in a Kickstarter post. Quote, development hell is a term that is thrown around quite often. It should be used on projects that change their core idea or scope mid-development and can adjust to them. That doesn't apply to our products for the most part. In our case, a lot of mistakes were made, and we will make more in the future, but it's a normal process for a new, inexperienced team. Everything that was developed up until the middle of 2018 has been reworked, and 90% of it has been completely scrapped. It's about making it what we want it to be, not releasing it just because we gave some arbitrary release date. If it's not ready, it's not ready. Why would people want to play something that developers think it's still not up to par? End quote. I respect this. I respect this statement a lot.
Yeah.
Refreshing after our last story.
It's a good change, a good palate cleanse. I agree. This was something, it's funny because Scorn was something that was interesting because it just looks so out there. It was so weird. It was so crazy looking. I was like, what is going on? But I was intrigued by it. So the fact that they're saying internally, yo, we haven't captured what this vision is yet, and we don't like where we are. It's in development hell. The fact that they even say that, is a big deal, and it is rare in this day and age for studios to really do that because let's be honest, there's money on the line, right? There's money, there's development, there's cost, and people are like, yo, we got to get this game out. We promised this, and salute to them. I hope they get to achieve what their intended vision of this game is, and it's still something I'm interested in. I thought it was a unique showing initially at I believe it was the third-party showcase, I think, where they showed it.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I'm in. It's some real weird phallic alien vibe, but cool. All right. Salute to y'all for that. But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm in. I want to know what this world is about. But what do you think about these statements from the developer?
I really like it. I think it's kind of refreshing for them to say what I always thought, but I wasn't sure if it was a common thought in studios, which is if it's not ready, it's not ready. Why would people want to play something that developers think is not up to par? Which to me shows that they are very liberated on a creative space where they are able to almost think of that and take their time, where I don't think that's very common for studios with like a big publisher hanging overhead them. So they are in a very unique position. This is an Xbox exclusive, so I think we could at least, while it's Kickstarted, we could tip our cap to Microsoft for allowing them and helping them, rather, I should say, figure things out and getting them to that finish line. And it could be another example with an Xbox exclusive, like we saw with Halo Infinite coming out really successful 1 year later, where this might be another game for me. Like when I saw the gameplay, I was like, this looks janky in not the good way. It looks very slow,
Gotcha.
sluggish.
Yeah, it's very slow,
and
very slow.
I'm not sure what the actual gameplay here is. It was hard for me to figure out. The shooting didn't look right. There was a lot wrong with it. And so I totally foresaw this game either A, not being good, or B, needing a pretty big delay. And so I'm glad they took the big delay, because maybe that can help straighten some of their ideas out, add the polish it needs, and again, can set that standard for, if you like work with Xbox, will help you make the best game possible. So this is going to be a good sign for independent new creators coming in.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to number 6. I thought this was really cool, so wanted to highlight it here. The top 20 selling games for November of 2021 in the United States have arrived. Typically, we don't cover sales numbers on this show, given Microsoft's touting of Forza Horizon 5's insane player count. We felt an inside look at where the game charted helps us estimate just how many players went out and bought this game. Do note these numbers are, again, from the United States and account for physical purchases only. Starting off at number 1 with Call of Duty Vanguard, number 2, Battlefield 2042, number 3, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, number 4, Forza Horizon 5, number 5, Madden NFL 2022, number 6, Mario Party All-Stars or Superstars, number 7, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which was number 7 the month before, I noted, number 8, FIFA 2022, number 9, Far Cry 6, number 10, NBA 2K22. So, Cog, we see that Forza Horizon 5 in its launch month and its highest player count ever for the series and highest player count ever for Xbox Game Studios is in the top 5 behind Battlefield, Call of Duty, Pokemon. How are we feeling about, again, we don't have the exact numbers here, but this is physical sales for the US. This is probably the primary audience you'd have to imagine. How do you feel that it's number 4 in its launch month, and yet it managed to hit its highest player count? Does this speak to Game Pass more than anything?
These are good data points to track. I thought that was impressive, to be honest, because I'm like, look, this is a Game Pass game. I wanted to know if people really were going to go out and buy it. I think about also Forza I'm very curious to see the metrics with Forza having that early access kind of a deal, but I can't remember if that was a digital only access.
Yes.
Right. So with that being said, and then with this, we got to confirm though, because sometimes I believe MPD would include digital sales for everyone minus Nintendo. So I am curious if the digitals were included. Even if they are included, this is still impressive.
Well, unfortunately, I'll ask you to double check right now if you don't mind. The reason I ask is because the dude who posts this stuff, Matt Piscatella, has me blocked. And so
shout out to Matt. I met Matt. He's a good guy. I'm no longer on the friends list either for certain reasons. Clearly, certain networks I'm a part of, I'm no longer on the friend list. But I met Matt. I think Matt is a good guy. That's
I don't even know him. So
I know him. He's the head of MPD, and he's clearly taking his side based on where we at, and that's fine. That's his thing. But at the end of the day, this is what I remember. Right, and I used to follow his reports frequently, is that it would be usually include MPD would usually in the US would include for Xbox would usually include the digital sales unless otherwise stated. If there was like an asterisk that said, hey, it wouldn't, and the one that I know wouldn't include digital sales would be Nintendo. And that's why I always used to be like, yo, Switch is really killing it, because if
you know what, I apologize. I thank you for saying this, because the Game Informer article I just checked, the Game Informer article I mentioned only stated physical US sales, NPD. So I got the wrong information, because now I'm seeing the chart. I had to take a different route to see this chart here.
Okay, what is it?
The ranking, it says November 2021 top 20 games, physical and full game digital from Nintendo eShop, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox platforms for publishers in digital leader panel, ranked in dollar sales. So I apologize to the audience on that. That's my oversight there. That's wow, I'm surprised. I usually like to go to Game Informer because they typically do a good roundup, but that's fine. Mistakes happen.
No, it's not happening. That's what
So
we're here
yeah,
for.
it is digital. It is digital. Does that
Yes.
change your initial thoughts now?
Still impressive. Like I
Okay.
said, even without, because I'm like, look, at the end of the day, look at who's in the mix here. We talk about Call of Duty, even with the bad. Call of Duty is still Call of Duty, right? Battlefield, even with the bad, it's still a battlefield that people anticipate. So I expect that. Pokemon is Pokemon, right? Like we're not gonna, regardless of the entry. Those are 3 massive megatons. To be there in between that at number 4 is very impressive for a racing game, right? And let's be honest, that the quote unquote handicap that is Game Pass, right? Game Pass, you ain't supposed to buy the game. People still bought the game that digitally, that outside of the service, which goes to the point that Phil was trying to say, which is that different multi-prong approach with their strategy, which is they understand. Yes, not everyone's going to want to be in Game Pass. There's still going to be people who are going to just buy it as a one-off or whatever, and maybe being in part of the conversation definitely contributed to those sales. So that's very, very impressive to me. I don't look at it as anything negative. The fact that they're in the top anything with a Game Pass game is impressive to me.
Yes, very well said. Yeah, and especially seeing the competition they're in, I'm very surprised with the narrative that has been run around with for Call of Duty Vanguard, and understandably so. Like it was poorly received across the board from fans, from critics alike. I'm very surprised to see it at number 1. I'm going to be honest. Like I thought, like Pokemon would take number 1 or something like that.
Yeah. I was surprised Call of Duty. That was the big surprise.
I'm surprised to see Battlefield at number 2, to tell you the truth. I know there was a lot of hype, but I mean, that was not a smooth launch. And especially with the shakeup we covered last week, I'm very surprised to see a lot of people just said, screw it, I'm buying in, especially when, say, Xbox was offering a trial. I thought, I thought this one wouldn't do as well. So I was a little surprised by these numbers, I'll be honest with you, when you're looking at 10 million plus players. But with Game Pass in the mix, I understand why those sales fall a little bit shorter. And the fact that it's passing up Madden, FIFA, Far Cry, NBA. I was happy to see that. I do feel bad for SMT5, which comes in at 16. I feel bad for Back for Blood, which is at 15 now after being number 2 last month as a October launch game. And so shout out to Ghost of Tsushima. That's still in here. It was 13 last month. It's 20 this month. Shout out to Miles Morales, 13 this month, 17 last month. So
still impressive.
Yeah. Forza comes in last for the big November race, but still pretty good to see that people are buying the games, and obviously shuts down that point of criticism, I think, for Xbox. But also I think it's just the law of numbers, right? The law of average. Like if so many people are playing, you can only imagine so many people are buying it most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, great for them. I want to see a Starfield. I want to see a true single player only. Not saying that it's not going to happen.
I want to see. I'm really curious about that one. Like
Halo
I'm with you on that, but I just feel Halo is like, all right, this thing is as free 99 as you can get. Like the multiplayer set the free precedent. The campaign is free. The disc, we'll talk about that next. The disc is worthless. So, just go get it digitally, download it through Game Pass. That's going to be interesting to see.
That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And also to see the carryover of Forza in December, right? Some of these games I just highlighted are games from the month prior. How many people are buying it in December? So Xbox would have the chance to top off December. We will see on that, though. All right, last bit of news, and then we'll get into the Game Pass pick of the week. Look, we're going to give it to you straight here. If you bought Halo Infinite physically, you wasted your money, as it's nothing more than plastic. Recently, Halo Infinite's campaign released, and with that, many fans wanted to add 343's latest entry to their collection. Unfortunately, it was discovered that not all of the campaign is on the disc, and the game is registered as an add-on to the free-to-play multiplayer. This means 2 things. 1, to play the campaign, you must have the multiplayer installed. 2, minus Xbox's already established DRM checks, which demand you be online anyway, before any games are played offline, Halo Infinite cannot be played off the disc until a full download of the rest of the game is done. This is no day one patch either, like we are typically accustomed to, as Eurogamer has done and taken the proper measures. The disc comes in at 15 gigabytes worth of campaign data. The full campaign with everything installed is at a much more understandable file size of 25 gigabytes, plus an additional 4 gigabytes for the multiplayer component. This is a standout moment considering day one patches and many afterwards can serve to always improve the game, but it's expected that your disc arrives with playable data on it. Again, that is not the case with Halo Infinite.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna jump right in.
Please.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, here's the thing. I get the multiplayer portion.
Yeah.
It's online. I get that. But like, why can't you play this game local on disc offline? What's the problem? What is that? And I do think that is a dangerous precedent for single player games. Like, I'm with you here. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand why we have to be tied in because listen, I know you're team retro, and I got respect for that. I do like digital. I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
No,
I do like
100%.
the
There's
lazy and
clear
inconvenience of
benefits.
it.
Yeah.
Right, there's benefit, but I understand. Like, what if your internet goes out? What if they 343 at Xbox decide wake up one day said, you know what, we're out the business, we're out the game.
Yeah. And people act like it's
Yeah.
impossible, but I always go back to the Xbox One era. It was almost done, man. It was almost done.
Absolutely. These are realities that can happen. We've talked about this being you offline with just like YouTube content creators, like who their whole existence is based on it, right? And what if YouTube just, all right, we're out the game. Oh, hey, government, we're shut down. Your career's over. Like, you got to think big picture. Gamers got to think big picture. And this is one of those moments. And I'm not trying to get all preachy and ridiculous with it, but it's like, why can't the single player of Halo Infinite be played without it? Like, it makes no sense to me. Only argument I'll give is multiplayer. I'll give you that pass. I'll give you like, hey, you can't do co-op on. Okay, great, fine. But I believe this one has split screen, right? Split screen came back. I don't even know. I don't remember anymore.
I don't think so.
Might not even be.
I don't think so.
Okay. At the end of the day, why can't the local be played? That to me is, I hope this is not the new wave for the gym. It needs physical discs still need to have a place. And what's the purpose? It's just literally you got a paperweight. It is a paperweight to go connect to a server to authenticate, and then what was the purpose of even putting the disc in? You might as well just put a code at that point to make you go download the game. Why even press the disc? Why even make it if you have no intention of this being a physically local game?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and there is split screen. I was not aware. I
Yeah,
was aware of this. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, but
okay.
I just
Yeah,
I
I'm
see
like,
no one
okay.
talking about it for
Yeah.
I think everyone's waiting for online co-op. So
Yeah, that's what it is. But I remember they were like, "Yo, it was a big deal. It's coming back."
oh, it's not on
Split
PC.
screen.
That's what it is. That's not on PC.
Well, it's on PC
It's
or
not on PC. It says they'll be adding that in a future update. I think that's
so. Console has it, right?
Yeah, they say to activate it, this comes from .esports. They say navigate to the multiplayer lobby screen, press the menu button on the second controller. You'll then be prompted to select a user from the controller. Select a user that isn't the same as the main remote. If it works correctly, you'll have two controllers paired, logged in. You'll be able to continue to the multiplayer with two players.
Oh, wow.
I don't think this wait, they're saying multiplayer. I don't know if this
multiplayer. I didn't know that. I didn't know multiplayer was split screen.
I don't think this is campaign.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think. Hold on. Now.
We gotta check that out.
Hold on now. I feel like I should have known this, but
me too. I feel like I should have known this too.
Yeah. Okay. Game per. Unfortunately, as of writing this, there's no cooperative function for the campaign in Halo Infinite, either online or local through split screen. Okay. So yeah, I figured as much. Given that, like, how do you have co-op locally but not the online component? So that makes sense. So you can play split screen multiplayer though. That is a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Apologies to the audience who was pulling out their hair there, I'm sure.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'll let you have the floor here.
Oh, thank you. So, yeah, this is sad. I just think Xbox is silently being an assassin here to the physical games media and pushing you in a certain direction without really doing so. And this is kind of their most deliberate move yet. Because I look at something like Psychonauts 2 not having a physical copy, and I'm like, oh, that's disappointing, but that does scream like a limited run game. But Xbox isn't even present on limited runs, which is like a big company for keeping the physical game media alive, right? And they help independent games. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you have Microsoft at your back, but Psychonauts 2 was like a Kickstarted game. There was Fig, there was all this stuff. So they probably worked with that budget, not what Microsoft gave them, despite improving the game itself. Like the physical stuff didn't matter after a certain point in time, right? But then you see Halo here, and I mean, the fact that I'm wondering if this is less of them trying to push it to Game Pass and more the idea of like this was coming in super hot.
Right.
I
That's what
just
I'm
think it's
hoping,
like a
man.
product of
That's what I'm
development,
really
because it doesn't make
hoping.
sense that you do Forza, which I think was going to be huge the way you did it, where you could buy the disc and play it there. But Halo is the way it is. I think it's just I get a suspicion here.
I
It's a
hope so.
product of development, but it is disappointing because this is
Yeah.
now and forever, unless they do a complete edition with all the expansions, which will be a decade from now, as they have stated. It's a 10-year game.
Mhm.
Maybe they have all of it on a super Blu-ray disc that has everything there. But right now, you will forever not be able to buy Halo Infinite and just throw it in your console. You can't do it. You got to download. This is, again, I need to emphasize, not a day one patch, which we have always had,
Right.
not a title
Right.
update. We're talking about the rest of the campaign. It's not playable on disc.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't even think about that, and I should have, because of how hot this game is coming. And you just hope that is a snafu, that they were like, look, in a patch, it'll be able to be played. We just couldn't finish it in time. Our priorities were getting this game to the finish line every other way. And that's the hope. Because it makes no sense to press up a disc. It really makes no sense. You just wasted cost on some level, right?
I don't want me to sound like super environmentalist here, but tons of plastic, just a fucking waste. Like
it's a waste.
No need for it. There was no need for it. It was,
at that point.
I think, for the holidays. Like, I think if this wasn't releasing in December, where they were like, oh, they need to see it in stores and be reminded of it, it wouldn't have happened. So really disappointing to see.
I agree.
I'm really cranking on Xbox this episode, rounding out the year in a negative fashion. I apologize. But anyway, let's get into the Game Pass pick of the week. This week I go.
Okay.
Now, I don't like to always select the new editions. I feel like it's a little too easy. This one arrives December 14th. I got to do it, man, because I fired it up with the boys last night, and it's been a wonderful time. We'll talk about it now. Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Talk to me.
It's a 2 to 3 player co-op game that you can play online with your friends. I got to make it clear here. Never seen Aliens versus Predator. Never seen any of the Aliens movies. Like, none of this stuff.
Like, so you don't even have that. Okay.
None of this history here. I think it's a really cool looking universe. I haven't played Isolation. I haven't played Colonial Marines. Like, I have not really interacted with this IP at all. Like, this is all fresh to me. But Cog, I have to insist,
let's go.
You got to try this one, because after falling flat on my face with Back for Blood, and I know you fell harder than I, this is the co-op game you were looking for. This is the Horde co-op game we were both looking for. The mission design, it's a bit formulaic. You go through, you'll see like a couple hallways and areas where the aliens are going to come through. I think that's what they're calling them, and assume they're not like xenomorphs or whatever. But
you're good.
The aliens are going to come your way, and you're going to mow them down. But what's cool is the cooperative element of classes. So I'm playing as the demolition guy. So I got like a rocket over my shoulder that can shoot out and mow down a ton of aliens. I've got a grenade I can throw at the ground that spreads around me so I can clear out anyone who's swarming me. We got a friend who's a doctor. He's doing the healing, the combat stims. I got another friend who's the technician. Cog, this is for you. He throws down a turret, man.
Oh, they got turrets? Yeah. Game of the year.
Throwing down turrets. So you can be the turret man if you'd like.
Woo! So, what's the name of the class? What's the name of the
technician
turret class? Technician. Oh, that's me.
Yeah. Yep, technician.
Engineer, technician. That is literally almost every game.
Yeah. So you got these classes. There's a couple more. There's gunner. There's I think bulwark is what it's called. It's one with a shield. So you can put it up, back them up a little bit. Be the defense. So there's a good team play system here that I really like. And I also enjoy the progression so far. Now, I've completed one of what looks to be 4 campaigns. And what happens is you complete these missions and your guns level up, your character class levels up, and you'll unlock these perks and titles that you can attach to. If anyone's played Mega Man Battle Network, they'll know the very specific example I'm referencing. But in Mega Man Battle Network, you'd have these chips that you'd fit into like almost a Tetris-like board, and that's how you'd solidify your upgrades. This game does the same thing. So what a cool throwback, by the way. Awesome to see this in a new game. But you'll get your upgrades that way. You'll slot them in, so you'll get perks like the demolitionist class has the ability to. I think it's called demolisher, actually, not demolitionist, but
Okay.
it has the ability to do this passive ability where if I use my rockets on my shoulder to kill enemies, I think it's called clear the room. I will gain damage bonuses, and it can go up to like 50%. So it encourages you
Okay.
like use your abilities, mow them down, and
Nice.
these perks will
Nice.
enhance stuff like that. So there's a
Nice.
cool progression system here. The sound, I do know the sounds to the Alien movies a little bit.
Making me
Where,
download this
yeah, I'm
nigga.
telling you, man, great co-op game. But the sound design, I know like there are some key sound effects I'll say in these movies, in these games. I have played a little bit of Isolation, but kind of like the sound like the guns make. That's here. I think it's authentic in a lot of ways. You can tell Aliens fans made this, and if you were born
Yeah.
alien colonial marines, like this is definitely a redemption story here. But it's a really fun, enjoyable co-op romp. I've been having a blast with it. It was a game we fired up, and we were like, we all said as a group, we're probably playing this one night. I wanted to try it out because I was like, maybe this ends up being pick of the week. Dude, we played for like 4 hours. Like we were hooked. Really
Okay.
fun game here. They got
17
things
gigs.
called
Download now.
challenge cards, which you may remember from Back for Blood to some extent.
Yes.
Except that these are kind of optional, and I think they're done in fun ways. Like I had one that said, like, we're going to turn all the basic enemies into exploders, so it makes it a little bit more dangerous. And there's tons of different ways to play, and they modify it by giving you more credits, giving you more XP, so you can buy more weapons, you can buy more,
That's what I was about to ask
buy
you.
more attachments. It's a lot of customization here. It's really fun. So a great Game Pass game. I think also the reason I'm raving about this game is even if you pay for it, it's about $40, which I think was a way fairer price than what we were seeing for Back for Blood. So this is one that got slept on a lot. I wanted to shout it out. Aliens Fireteam Elite, really, really fun time so far.
So the gameplay loop, would you say horde kind of mechanics, then you get money, and then the money's used more for upgrading for weapons or like how
Weapons,
what
you can buy new perks. You can buy new
how do you
attachments.
upgrade the perks and stuff like
The perks are upgraded through leveling up. You'll complete missions,
Gotcha.
killing stuff. It'll score you out. You'll do, mission complete. Everyone gets a lot. So it doesn't hold you back at all. There are cosmetic changes. I don't know if there's a microtransaction shop. I don't think there is, but you can change how your soldier looks. You can customize yourself very lightly. I'm talking Ascent level customization here. So yeah, be prepared. Yeah, be prepared. So, they do have that. And I found myself having a lot of fun. Like you brought up the horde mechanics. Like, yeah, you're going to be running through missions, interacting with an object and waiting for him to come. But what I love more than anything about this game is, tell me if I'm wrong here.
Let's go.
Do you ever feel like even with Back for Blood, there's too much of a warm up for these horde mode games? It's like, I know what to expect. Like, fucking shower me with enemies, right? And I feel like they never do.
Right.
This game hits you like right away. Like you get into the mission, first objective, it's like, oh, whoa, it's up there. Yo, set up the turret. Yo, they communicate right away.
There we go.
And there's tension because they're threatening.
Yes.
Like we died on a mission, man. We died on a mission. I don't remember the last Left 4 Dead style game. I died on a mission. We're like, yo, we got to do that again. They have different enemy types and they don't change how they look drastically. They just have different abilities. So you can see the budget there.
Yeah.
But again, I've said it 3 times now, so I'm going to say it one more time. You're looking for a really good co-op Game Pass game. It's PC, Xbox, download it.
What?
PC fans beware, because that's where I'm playing it. Beware. So far, the version of the game's fine, but they force in-game chat. And what I've had to do is go into the team settings. You can't even do anything in the game settings. I've had to go to my friends' Xbox profiles and mute them. Straight up mute them. Because we're in Discord talking, we're hearing each other double. So if you're a PC fan, let this be known, like if you're going to get friends together, that this is something you're going to have to do. I guess you could use team chat, but that sucks. Don't bother.
Yeah.
Get on Discord, get on Skype, get on wherever you chat, Zoom, I don't care. Just make sure you mute each other if you're on PC. And I don't know if this carries into Xbox. I'm sure that mandatory game chat's on if your mic's plugged in, but
yeah, I think Back for Blood did that.
Really?
I think when we played cross-play, I remember having to say, yo, guys, mute, you coming in, or I'm hearing you twice. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, just go to the setting and mute. So I think
that's the thing. Like, it's not in-game here. It's all done through the Xbox dashboard and everything. So you have to go to profiles and mute.
Yeah, I think these are like the early. What I attributed this to is the early growing pains of crossplay.
Mm. Yeah.
Until we have that unified system that says, "Hey, be smart enough from an algorithm standpoint that once this person joins, that if we see you're in the chat, this chat gets disabled." Like they have to have a little bit better of quality of life. I think because we're just so early with crossplay, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But that
Unfortunately,
game
this
sounds
doesn't have
amazing.
crossplay, just so those out there are
Right.
wondering. So you
Okay.
get it on the same console as your friends.
Got you. Fair enough.
But yeah, that's my Game Pass pick of the week.
I like it, man.
Really enjoying it. Highly recommend people check it out.
Downloaded it right now. Check it out.
Good shit. Let me know how you like it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get into our 5 ending questions to wrap up our show. Starting off with Cameron Belgrade. Greetings, Lord, Cog, and Commander Matty. Time to put your tinfoil hats on, gentlemen. BioWare has removed the Mass Effect 5 teaser from all of its YouTube accounts. Very strange indeed. My question is simple, but complicated. Why? Some theories have led to the Amazon deal and legal issues being the reason it was taken down. Some theories are that BioWare is changing their vision for the game and the teaser no longer reflects said vision. Worst case scenario is that the game is canceled, which I don't think is likely. BioWare might give an answer in the next day or two, but for the time being, what do the Inspector Dukes think? P.S. If BioWare does give an answer before the show is recorded, what do you make of their reasoning? Happy holidays. I hope that Don picks your presents this year. And then he did provide us with an update. He said Michael Gamble from BioWare confirmed that it was taken down so they could fix some issues with it and it will be re-uploaded soon. Weird, but I guess it makes sense.
You
buying it?
We got it.
You buying it?
For now. I guess, it did seem weird to take it down, but like what issues could have been there? I'm just curious. And they're gonna re-upload it. So I mean, at least they got in front of it. It does seem weird to take it down and re-upload. But what do you think?
Yeah,
he's
saying that he said last year's trailer is coming back. We had to re-upload and wanted to do so without losing all the view counts. So it's a little more tricky to do. Don't worry, fam.
Okay.
Interesting to see a company worry about view counts. But to me, it's like, what was wrong with it?
That's
what was wrong with it?
That's the real what
seemed
be
wrong with such a simple
wrong?
trailer?
Yeah, like you want to take down a teaser? I mean, in fairness, unless how sometimes we've seen in gaming where like a certain community come out and be like, yo, you got this symbol here that's mad offensive to a certain group of people or unintentionally, right? I've seen that where it's like, okay, oh wow, we didn't notice that. You know what? We can clean it, remove it. So maybe something of that nature, but I can't, from a technical standpoint, I can't understand why it would be taken down, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think I saw anything like that. And, I'm a big, like when it comes to the symbol stuff, like I'm big, I totally get it. But I also think of like stuff like Call of Duty getting rid of like the Nazi symbols. And I'm just like, I'm not for that at all. Cause it's like, doomed to repeat history if you try to forget it.
No, absolutely. I feel you.
But yeah, this is one of those things where I don't want to read too deep into it. And I'm like King's speculitis, but I do think it's a little strange here. I don't know what they detected there because it's been around for a while. It's
been sitting there for a while. That's the thing too. It's the length of time, because if it was just came out, that's a good point. I didn't think about it. If it just came out, it's like, yeah, why? You want to get ahead of it, but this long it's been sitting there. Now you decide that there's something up. Good point.
I'm going to go on a limb and say Michael Gamble is telling us a little white lie for the holiday season. Not that they're revealing anything. It doesn't mean it's a good outcome, but I think something legally behind the scenes had to be adjusted. I think of what we learned with like Metal Gear, where they said like, we got to take the games down for now. We're going to have them back up for sale. Like they knew the end result already, but they still had to take it down temporarily. So I feel like there's a legal thing ongoing at BioWare. Are they getting the shit suit out of them? No, I just think this is one of those things where it's like they're doing something there and it'll be back up eventually.
Good point.
And I guess YouTube has something on the back end, by the way, that allows you to take stuff down without losing your viewership. Hey, that'd be
awesome for content creators,
right? I would love that, but I guess I'm not a big corporation, so shit, man.
We don't have a handler.
Yeah, I don't even know how to get into contact with YouTube, but okay,
bro. All my OGs respect this. YouTube to me is there's a cartoon from back in the day called Inspector Gadget.
Oh yeah,
Inspector Gadget. Remember Inspector Gadget? But like the villain, you never see the villain. You just see the hand and the cat.
Yep.
right? That is Google to me. There's no physical person you
It's
can really
weird.
talk to.
Yeah.
There's no, they just exist, and they are allowed to not have customer support. Like you literally, there's no number, there's nothing. We'll deal with you when we're ready to deal with you, and we don't have to
I
answer.
found a random creator support line that's like buried in forums that actually is official Google support. And they've undone like bad monetization calls like in a snap. And I'm like, why is this buried? Why is this not all over my dashboard? Really ominous shit, in my
And
opinion.
how is it allowed?
Yeah.
Like that's another thing. Like I go off on a tangent on that. It's so weird.
Let's talk to Joaquin Brush.
Yes.
Gentlemen, it's the end of the year, and I wanted to ask for a more fun activity rather than a question. Given everything that we know through the hard facts or rumors, what would you gents rank your top 5 Bethesda Xbox studios on your current hype level as we barrel into the new year? For me, my top 5 would be Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Coalition, Machine Games, and Playground. Have happy holidays, gentlemen, and for the love of Jesus flip-flops, Cog, my name is pronounced Joaquin.
His mama named him Joaquin. You got to call him Joaquin. My bad. Yeah, he hit me on Twitter. He was like, "Yo, I can't believe you butchered my name, man." Salute.
What'd you call him, like Joe Quinn or something like that?
Yeah, I was like, I hit him with the Yo Quinn or something
Yeah.
out there, but I got you, Joaquin. I got you, bro. Good question. I love this stuff. I think I rank stuff like this all the time. I have fun games with a lot of other content creators. I love it. Like I think it was our LogNet poll question where we had this week. We had for graphical fidelity, who's the best? But to your question, all right. Y'all know, everybody knows without question, the Big O is my favorite. That's my number 1 draft pick. I don't care what nobody say. I'm fight you. We'll fight for that.
Yeah.
Obsidian is where it's at, and that's why I'm holding it with my number 1. Now, everything else is subjective, and I don't get mad at people, but got to put Coalition just off the track record, the history, them keeping Xbox on their back for a while. You know, I got to put them there. Playground's in the mix because, again, the history. Horizon done show. We know they got Fable. That's another one we're gonna really get to see a creative flex from them. I'm excited. Okay, now the other 2. If I gotta be honest, Ninja Theory does excite me because Ninja Theory, even though the track record isn't there yet, we're seeing the graphical fidelity, and in my opinion, even though Hellblade 2 is not technically a just one because it's not a new IP, if it wasn't, that's the damn formula. You people want to see the problem with Xbox. I never get a chance to say this. The problem with people who are not in the Xbox ecosystem, who want to be, that are primarily Sony fans, this is what they tell me. They want to see the money. Xbox, you talk about them, we got the most powerful system. You know, we got the most money. We spend. But you don't always see a reflection of that in the games. Like a lot of times, you know, outside of a few of the big ones, outside of the main, you know, Halo, Gears, Forza, you don't get to see like that's the thing that Sony does well, right? Which is like, yo, oh my God, did you see Nathan Drake's face? Did you see Ellie and Joel? Oh my God, like that's where they need to see that AAA power. And that's why Ninja Theory is on this list. Because you saw that, you go, oh God, oh my, Lord. You see that? That's what we want to see.
I don't think we've actually ever had that in the history of our show here. And I don't remember the last time I had that for Xbox. Like that kind of audible, oh my God.
They need, this is where the graphics whores do have a point, where it's like, you talking you big Xbox, but how is it that Sony with less money and, you know, the developers or whatever seem to be out developing your studios with prior studios? You know, that's the argument. And I feel the Sony fan base that says that. So Ninja Theory is important for that. So I got to put them in the 5th one. This is hard. Oh, there's so many that I like. There's so many that got potential. And I'm a cheat. I don't want to go Bethesda because I feel that's an obvious. I still treat Bethesda as the outsider that just moved in. I know what they are. I know what they're going to do, right? So I was just like, when y'all drops, I'll revisit y'all when y'all drop, and that's gonna be Starfield. So for the 5th, it's gonna be I gotta pick between 2 upstarts that I like. It'll come down to NXL,
Hmm.
because I like what they represent, but I just they gotta see it. Damn, Double Fine.
Cog, I gotta throw
Psycho.
compulsion out there for you. Just
I was
yeah.
just that's the
I
third
was
one.
gonna
That's the
say
third
I
one. I
gotta
was,
throw it out there for you.
that's what I was leading because I was like, it comes down to an upstart, and my upstarts. Double Fine got the track record. I want to see more though. I want to Double Fine not yet because I just want to see more outside of Psychonauts.
Mm,
Then it came
sure.
down to NXile and then Compulsion. And I look at NXile, I'm like, damn, I like Wasteland. Wasteland's fire. Like, but I want to see what you do outside. And we heard what they're about to do, and that sounds fire. But then it comes down to Compulsion. And yeah, I think they've got the most potential. I think even though they're unproven technically, with but I've liked their games. I remember them from Contrast.
Yeah,
I remember
Contrast is
having
great. I'm
Contrast.
with you.
I like Contrast on PS4. That was one of my PS4 launch
Same.
titles. That
Yeah.
was the game I
I
played
think
the
that was
most.
a PS Plus game, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
Really good.
yes, I played that the most. So Contrast, the light and the dark thing, it was dope. We Happy Few, me and you've bonded on that. We see the tremendous potential, the joy. That thing could have been something else. We heard about the development hell.
Yeah.
And then we hear about this new game, right? Project Midnight. So yeah, I think Compulsion's gonna round out. People are gonna kill me because they're probably like, how you don't got, 343 after, but this is one, and we need more. We need more now. Halo Infinite, we get it. We need more,
Yeah.
of the turnaround.
Yeah.
And then for us to get the staying completely off. And anybody else I forgot, just remind me. But for now, I'm gonna say Compulsion unless I forget someone. But I'm gonna let you go because I'm dying to hear yours.
Yeah, I'm with you on. I think I can't deny Obsidian being number one. Like as much as I'll get to my number two in a sec, where I went back and forth. Like Obsidian has to be number one because Avowed, that new RPG that Jeff Grubb told us about. You got to throw in Grounded into the mix. Outer Worlds 2. I mean, they got the four pillars right there. I'm like, man, they're going to be a titan for years to come. We're not even aware of the other smaller projects that are happening. Like they seem to be maintaining their core, but also trying these cool AAA ventures. And that's what I want to see from these companies. So I feel like Obsidian not only embodies what I love about gaming in a lot of ways, but they're embodying what I hope to see from future Xbox first party studios on paper basis, that is.
Agreed.
Now, the reason I said I have to give it to Obsidian is because I think we got a question like this. I wanted to go with Ninja Theory, but I know as an RPG fan, like I can't deny my heart. But to me, Ninja Theory is my number two because I said I got a little flack last episode. I'm gonna say it again though. I see the Naughty Dog in this company. I know Naughty Dog has, and the criticism was fair. A couple of people wrote comments like Naughty Dog has proven themselves time in, time out. We have one $20 game from Ninja Theory. I would throw out DMC Devil May Cry out there as another excellent game they made. Do not sleep on this one. I know that's not the Dante we love, but
didn't they? That was fire too. That's fire. Did they make Heavenly Sword?
Yes. And I'm pretty sure they made Enslaved. Hold on. And
they got a little history.
Yeah, hold on. Let me check real quick because they did develop this as well. They made Enslaved Odyssey to the West, which was another really good game. So to me, this company has proven themselves time in, time out. It never shocked me that they made good games, but
they got one stain though.
What's up?
That bleeding ass.
Yes. No, that's totally fair. Yeah.
Side project though. Side project.
No, but
I
forgot about that.
Passion.
Passion
project.
I'm happy they got to do it. They got it out of their system.
Yes.
I was excited for that one. Nice hero shooter, never caught on. But when I look at what they've done right, I guess would be the better way of putting it. The single player games, they've only gotten better over the years. And to me, Hellblade, it helps, of course, because we've seen Hellblade and a lot of stuff we're talking about are rumors, are speculation. But to me, Hellblade's the push over the edge. I need to be like, this is it, man. Like, this is going to be the studio for years to come. Like, this is the team you sit down, the industry collects themselves, and they play what they drop. And I know we got to wait like a decade for my little prediction here to come true because it takes multiple releases. I get that, but I really feel that way about them. They've done an amazing job in the past making really fun stuff, some high quality stuff, some impactful stuff. And now we're seeing them really get into this tinkerer's bag, if you will. Like we're seeing with Project Mara, we're seeing with this. All these projects are coming together for like one grand project. So they have like a vision at the studio. again, I think these guys in general and gals are visionaries, and keep an eye on them. Number 3, Playground Games.
Yes,
Yeah, I
sir.
just I bend the knee, right? I don't
Yeah.
really care much about the racing games. I still don't, to be honest with everyone, but
Well,
they're proven to be consistent, high quality developer, and knowing that is the studio culture there, I can't wait to see them take their talents to other IP. And I'm hoping that
oh, yeah.
Fable is sort of their breakout, where I know people want Forza, and I hope they keep doing Forza. I know what it means to a lot of us, but I hope we can see them like really turn into a multimedia giant in a way, or multi-genre giant, sorry, and start having new studios. So you have like 2 Playground studios, like one's the Forza studio, one's like the Fable studio, and expand in that way. Like that's what I'm excited about. Their future to me is bright. They've already, just like Coalition you mentioned, have carried Xbox through a generation. So for me, man, it's definitely them at number 3. Number 4, I got to give it to Bethesda Game Studios. They
I was waiting.
Yeah,
I
of
was
course.
waiting.
I thought about not including them here on the list when I was really going through it in my head while you were answering, but I was like, you know what? The reason I wouldn't have done it is because I feel like outside of 76, they've made very good video games. Like, I don't really feel a tremendous amount of concern. Like, even their worst single player game, Fallout 4, was pretty damn good, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. It lost some of the heart, but it was still a really good video game. So to me, I'm like, am I really overly concerned about this team? Not really. They're going back to the
Not really.
roots here, but I'm very excited to see what happens in a new IP with lots of money injected in this company. And of course, with Elder Scrolls 6 on the horizon, I think Starfield will be very telling where they're at on a technical level. So to me,
Yes.
they fall at number 4. And number 5, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I was going back and forth between In Exile and Compulsion. And I'm going to go with In Exile. I think In Exile is a more proven
Nice.
developer consistently. I think
Nice. I like
Compulsion
that.
has shown a lot of good ideas, and I think they have the chance to be the sleeper, the hidden gem, the where did they come from? Who are they? They absolutely have the strongest chance out of, I think, anyone in that first party lineup to be like, yo, we're here, pay attention, and make a statement. But right now, when I look at In Exile, isometric RPG King, you got Bard's Tale in there. And now they're making this Project Cobalt, which, I mean, the Victorian era stuff,
Mhm.
RPG, first person.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love
good
the
point.
sound of In Exile pretty much making their own Fallout style
Yeah.
RPG. I mean,
To be
good stuff.
damn, might making me change my
Yeah. I just,
I love good because in Exile, you're right. It's like, and then I forgot about the Fallout
and I
history.
can't ignore Wasteland 3. That is one of the
Yeah,
best
Wasteland 3 is
RPGs.
a
One of the
gem.
best RPGs you can play.
Yeah,
Co-op.
maybe right. Yeah, nah.
And Brian
Sorry,
Fargo.
look. Yeah, Fargo, I'm bugging.
Brian Fargo,
Yeah,
man, like,
you're right. I reserved the switch on my last pick. Compulsion, you coming though? You know I love
yeah.
y'all. You know I love y'all. But yeah, In Exile got that. I got that.
Excellent. Happy to see we're on the same page there. I don't think Compulsion's a bad pick, though, at all.
It's not. That's a potential pick.
Right. This one's for you, Cog, I believe, or someone within your circle. I genuinely picked this because I don't know, but I know a couple times on the show you said I'm waiting for Game Pass. So Casey Wright mentions, hello, Dukes. I was listening to the Iron Lord podcast, and someone on there I'm not going to name always says they're not going to buy a game. They'll just wait for it to go to Game Pass. At what point do publishers see the lack of sales numbers on Xbox and stop bringing their games over to Xbox unless Microsoft pays them to put it on Game Pass? So, is this you, Cog? Who is this?
This is
This
King.
is
This is
King.
not me.
Okay,
This is not me.
that was
On
my other
occasion, yeah.
suspect.
This is like King. We will kill him on this because it's like, bro, like you ain't even gonna shout, oh man, when you get back, it don't exist.
Yeah.
Like that's his whole thing. Like it does not exist, and he is firmly entrenched in the ecosystem. And honestly, the real reason is his backlog is crazy, and he because all right, the real reason is this: he would like run out there and buy these games and be disgusted when like next month they'd be like, and now the Game Pass, the game that you just bought.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened like 3 or 4 times.
He's
And then he was
broken.
just like, that's
It's
it.
broken.
I'm done. I'm done. And it's been paying off because he resisted like Doom Eternal. He resisted so many games. And then he's like, yep, here it is for
Yeah.
me. I'm good. I can get it. I don't have, he doesn't care that he's not in the zeitgeist when the game comes out. He's fine with it. Now, to the question, at what point do publishers see the lack of sales numbers on Xbox and stop? I don't think that really is viable for them because I think here's how I look at it. They they're gonna get a bag by putting this thing in Game Pass, right?
Mhm.
They're gonna get a bag, and I think that this is not affecting. I think the only thing it affects is the speed in which something comes to Game
Mm.
Pass. That's the only thing I think, because some publishers, some devs will be like, hey, we want to get as much physical Square Enix. We want to get physical sales as they can, and we're gonna milk this out. And then when we're not hot, and now we're gonna come back to
Mm.
you because we know you're always gonna be around. But there's a bag to be had, and remember, we heard every Game Pass deal is different. So if Microsoft drops a nice bag to their liking, we know Square likes that money, right? And the bag is to the number they like, where they feel they're going to recoup what they feel the sales should be,
Mhm.
then you'll see. But I don't think it's a situation where it's like, I think that's part of what, this is the last part I'll say. I think with, not us, but I see this trend of people pulling out data and they be like, yo, look how like 80% of the sales of this random third party game is on PlayStation,
Mhm.
European physical sales. That does not mean it's a failing model for
Mhm.
Xbox. Like that's what people got. Because what it is, I've been guilty of it. I'm like, damn, the sales were low on that. Like, what happened? But again, that is not the model. The model is one, for them to get you digitally, and two, Game Pass. That's they all about that. Like the S is the prime example. They have a whole SKU that is literally being successful by not giving you physical games and literally nudging you towards Game Pass,
Right.
right? So that's what it is, and it's this old school brick and mortar thinking that we're so accustomed to, that thinks that the only way in success is that you got to have the physical sales. They don't care about that. They care about one, their Game Pass subscriptions, the sub counts, and that engagement. That's what they care about. And when those are high, all that other stuff is fine. And at some point, if Game Pass is truly successful, right, if it how it wants to be, then are they really going to be dominating physical
Yeah.
sales? If it truly gets to the number that they are, I think not. So that's my thing on it. But shout out to Casey. That's a fun question. I like that.
I think it would make no sense for developers to stop bringing their stuff to Game Pass, because at the bare minimum, you collect a little bit of money and you get to extend the legs of your game in a way that isn't a required update. So it's not like Aliens Fireteam Elite, where they dropped a significant patch for their game at the same time as the Game Pass release. So they synchronized it. For a lot of companies, it's just like reminding them it exists. Like, okay, It Takes Two came out in February. We've collected our sales. We collected our accolades. All right, it's November. Put it in Game Pass now. Like, we're seeing not as many sales. Like, let's remind people this exists. Let's get people
Yeah,
playing it. Let's get people talking about it. Like, it plays a significant factor now because it's growing and is huge now in marketing strategies. Honestly, like, it's that hype to see that game just be thrown into the service. Like, it's a constant giving machine. Like, it's always exciting to see what is being added to Game Pass every couple of weeks. And it's always a immense surprise sometimes what they'll actually put in there. And then I think, yeah, you're going to see constantly games coming to Game Pass. I don't think Xbox is going to have to. I think they're going to stop bringing them to Xbox unless they pay them, because they know they're going to get money anyway.
right. And I speak to devs a lot of times. I hear them. They're like, "Yo, they hope. Damn, I hope Microsoft. We were looking for that call. It's getting to the point where Microsoft now is even being selective, where they're like,
Mhm.
hold on, we ain't not yet, or whatever. So it's a relationship on both
Yep.
sides, because you also know that there are some games that, let's be honest, that if they weren't in Game Pass, it wouldn't have got the
Yeah.
look, and now it turns into something. And you're like, oh my god. So I agree. I think that it's the relationship has to be beneficial on both sides, but I don't see it as some negative thing that if
Mhm.
people are waiting for a Game Pass thing that is gonna scare publishers off
Right.
and knock it. I don't see that situation, because a bag is still given to
Yep.
you when you put it in Game Pass.
Definitely. Let's move on to N Lins here. N Lins 27 writes in, Yo, Dukes, first off, 50 episodes. Massive achievement right there. I'm proud to say I've not missed a single one. Thank you. Your
Wow.
dedication is being rewarded again, N Lins. I finished Halo Infinite this weekend, and I must say it made me fall in love with Halo again, with 343 and Xbox stating this is a service game and Halo the Endless being trademarked shortly after Infinite's release. When do you think we'll see the next installment for the Halo campaign? Hope you have a Marine standing on the FOB platform when I call in a Scorpion kind of day.
That's hilarious. I'll see some videos of that. Shout out to my boy, Mr. Boomstick XL. We got to get him on Duke Ultimate. Good content creator.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he got a video up right now. It's hilarious, bro. Oh my god, same thing.
I
But
saw Dustin
yeah,
post one of this, like called in
yeah, you
the
got one.
warthog, and the Marine just runs right into the middle and drops right on his head and it's dead.
Dead. Hilarious. Yeah, I think I like. Obviously, we heard about the trademark, right? My hope, what I would like, I don't know if it's realistic, but at least at every 2 to 3 year cadence, because it may take time for these campaigns. I don't know how long the development cycle. Ideally, I would be like at 2 or less, or if I'm to me, I like an annual campaign, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know production wise if they're agile enough to do that level of cadence. So I'm going to say 2 years. What about you?
It's interesting because I had heard that these future expansions will come through Game Pass. So if you're a subscriber, like you'll get them all. And I don't know if that's actually been said or not, but
I can totally see that.
yeah, you heard it here
That
first, I
makes
guess,
sense.
right? So
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's the plan apparently for these future campaign expansions. Is they'll come out through Game Pass. So that's definitely good to see. And I think if they can hit these monthly, like each season is a new set of campaign missions. Part of me feels like that's what they are going to do until they hit the big one, right? Because this isn't going to spoil anything, so no one has to worry. But this clearly ties into something that happens within the campaign. And I don't know what new assets, unless they need to take us to new locations. I certainly wouldn't be against waiting however long that takes. But I could see this taking place in the same area that the base game does. And building that story a little bit more and building some of the villains a little bit more. I could see that being kind of the play, getting some intermittent stuff in. So like every year and change, you get the bigger expansion size stuff. Because that's the thing that I really am interested in is, are we talking full Halo Infinite style campaigns? Like, let's say they do an Assault on the Control Room expansion. It's, dude, you're a snowy open world. Oh my God, I would lose my mind. But a snowy open world, and it's another 10 hours or so with tons of new content, tons of new objectives. Like, are we looking at that? Or are we looking at like expansion levels? Like, you're going to go in here 3 hours, couple missions. Like, what are the new campaigns going to look like? We don't have an idea of what they're going to do for the future. If they're going to create a new open world space every couple of years, that's going to suck to wait for.
Yeah, that's super ambitious. And what I was thinking of, like maybe like how what I thought was a really good, and I was kind of mad it wasn't available for launch for the Series X, was actually Hivebusters DLC. Like I like that nice chunk, separate story, 3 characters, figuring them out. And it was, I forgot how long it was. It wasn't like super long, but it was a nice little chunk. It was a nice little, I felt. And I would love more Halo stories and more Chief stories. And I agree. This is curious. Like, how are they going to handle this? This is new to Halo, and they're calling it live service. So, like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want the cadence. I want to know, like, how often do we get these? Like,
I'm gonna go with
so many
annual.
questions.
I'm gonna go with annual.
Ooh, that's
I'm gonna say annual. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with annual. I feel like if at E3, let's paint the picture here. E3 2022 rolls around. We know season 2 ends, or season 1 ends in May. Now, if they're like, yes, season 2's starting up, like the Halo hype's back, and then at E3 they're like, here's the next campaign. Like, here's what's happening next. I could see that being kind of like the restart of the hype. Like, you press that button again right as you think things are tapering off, which works, I think, pretty effectively.
Oh, if they could do that,
and they're like, it's coming in the fall.
Yeah.
So you have another holiday of Halo?
You get into like a Sea of Thieves kind of cadence. And they constantly putting out content and stuff like that. In that game, you see at the transformation. Yeah. Shout out to Ben, man. He be rocking.
He's got to see a thief show.
Yeah, I literally see a thief. You got to literally sneak in. I'll lurk in some of the streams in the background.
All right, last question of the show. Daniel Pressure writes in, what's up, Dukes? I'm wondering what happened to all the people saying EA is the worst company. Did Activision take the crown of ridiculous crown of a video game company being the worst company out there?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I don't really. Yes, I think that's what it is. I think EA they've been on a Band-Aid mode lately. I mean, outside of Battlefield, that one came in hot. But even with that, right? You see the quick course correct. Vince Zampella, yo, get on that. dude, like they've been more amped. You know, the I know you and Colin had an amazing BioWare discussion, but even them going back to trilogy and going back to the essence and putting that out, and that's coming in Game Pass, I believe, soon too. That's gonna be
Mm.
huge for people that have missed out. They've just been they've been slowly course correcting things that many people. I mean, isn't It Takes Two, right? Isn't technically
Yeah, it's EA published.
isn't
Yeah.
it's EA, right? You know what I'm saying? Like people don't want to
But
associate it.
Joseph Fares has actually like gone out of his way to like call out EA at times, which is like,
Yeah.
I think he's just in a really good position to be able to,
He's in a good
right? Like,
position, but that's where you want to be. And the fact that you have Yosef, you have Vince in the building, they've got a lot of they've turned things around for them. The only thing they got is that Madden and that fight, but you know, for the most part, they've been doing better. You know, Activision. I know we're saying that, and they just won MPD again with Call of Duty again. I get it, but the reputation is really sullied right now. It's really bad. So I think EA's not at that level right there. There's just levels to
yeah.
it. Yeah, I think they've done a better job between the two. What do you think?
I think Activision scum and EA is just really stupid, is how I look at it. Like EA with the surprise mechanics, right? Like they still say stupid things. I think the Battlefield launch would have been way more talked about if Activision wasn't busy covering EA's ass effectively by having their whole entire studios set fall apart. Like it was, I really think EA would still be in the conversation of the worst of the worst with their handling of Battlefield if Activision wasn't screwing up exponentially worse. So,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously Activision is worse, but I don't think EA is far behind. Like they can adjust all they want, but they're still making a Battlefield mobile game. Like they're still jumping into the racing space, and that'll be really interesting to see how they handle that. Their sports games are still ridiculous. Ultimate Team still sucks, and I wish I could have the hundreds of dollars I spent on it when I was in high school back. Just disappointing, man. Really disappointing. But yeah, they're not, in my eyes, out of the picture here for worst company. They're in the talks. We're in the negotiation phase.
The negotiation phase. I got you.
But that's all we've got for this episode. That was our final question, and technically this is our final recording of the year. We do have, again, holiday stuff prepped for all of you, but that's already been recorded in advance. Cog, exhale. How are you feeling about your first year as a Duke?
It's been good, man. What a ride. What a ride. It's been fun every time. You know, I get in here with you. I love the tangent. Sometimes we get off and it just gets real funny. You know what I'm saying? But yo, it's been a pleasure, man. I really enjoy it. I like, actually, when I have time, I like to go through the comments and look at what people are saying and stuff like that. And the vibe is just so cool and so dope. And it just coincides with, one, the fantastic planning that you do with the show, the care that you put in, you know, the insightful questions, the varied question. And then I like that we have fun. Like, I like that not everything is always a serious, crazy topic. Sometimes it's hashtag have yourself a wild turkey Swanson dinner day or something. Like, it's always something crazy. And I'm like, all right, I'm here for this. I'm here for this. I'm here for the foolishness. Let's go. You know what I mean? So I do like that. And credit to you, because it makes it so much fun for me. And yeah, man, the ride continues, man. 2021 in the books. Had a physical meeting. We met the crew, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Next year should be even more fun and more fun things planned. I'm excited, man. I look forward to it. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Cog, for your efforts this year. I know I gave an impassioned speech in a future available episode, so I'll leave it for then when I think it's more fitting on the time period. But thank you again for all you brought to this show. And we hope everyone who listened this year to us week in, week out enjoyed. And we have big plans for 2022. So keep it locked here on Last Stand. You will not be disappointed. If you haven't signed up yet, I do encourage it. I'm only a patron of like 4 different areas. So
got to.
I work here and I'm still a patron. Come on.
Me too. I can't.
I'm a paying customer for myself.
That's right. For myself. Supporting the brand.
Thank you all so much for your time, attention, patience, and love this year. We appreciate it. And with that, Cog, I have no final words. Plenty more in weeks to come, that's for sure. So I'll leave it there. Anything else you want to close out with, or shall we get into the hashtag?
Let's get into the hashtag, because we gotta end this one right. We gotta end this one right. What's a good? We have a lot of varied topics again.
Yeah, not a lot of great positive topics, you know.
Yeah. I had one, but I was like, I don't think he gonna want no part of that one.
What,
So let's think about other
NFTDD? I
versions.
feel like, yeah, I know.
I was like, I don't think that's the way to go.
We can do it.
To be trending.
We can do it.
You really want that one?
I kind of just ran it over, so I don't care. Like we're making fun of it. We're not a part of it, so.
Yeah, I think that was I see the Steve, but I was like, it was just funny to me. I was like, oh, he about to go in NFTDD.
All right. Well, if you got this deep, whether it be in the comments on Twitter at Lord Cognito at G27status, wherever you want to post, even the Patreon comments, use the hashtag NFTDD. Let us know you got this deep, that you finished the show. We'd love to interact with you. We appreciate all of that good stuff. And other than that, take good care of yourselves. Don't buy any non-tangible goods over the holidays. And we'll see you soon, all right? Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.